All right, good morning to you. Welcome into the Marc Cox Morning Show. It is a few minutes after 5 on your Wednesday morning. We're glad you're with us this morning. We're still covering, unfortunately. Are you hearing me? All right. I'm afraid my mic wasn't on there for a minute. Actually, didn't have my headphones turned up. I was like, wait a minute. Am I hearing myself or not? Sorry about that. We are covering a lot of breaking news this morning, including more flash flooding, this time apparently in parts of New Mexico. They've had some problems down there in the Ruidoso River District, which is not the same level of what we're seeing or saw in Texas, but they're keeping an eye on that this morning. That is the latest recovery that we're seeing. Kim St. Augin here along with Ethan Bright. We'll get Sue Thomas up to date with you on your traffic here coming up in just a couple of minutes. Happy you're making us part of your morning. Remember, you can always download the podcast. Anything you hear here on the 97.1 FM Talk, we'll have it posted for you. Wherever you download your podcast, you can follow the Odyssey app, all that good stuff. I think I've got most of that covered. So, Kim, I've continued to watch the coverage of this situation in Texas. 3 days later, are we 3 days out from when this happened?
This happened
this is
Friday.
Wednesday.
So this happened Friday morning.
Okay, it happened early Friday morning. So we're 5 days out.
5.
And a couple days ago, people on the left started questioning preparations. Was the National Weather Service affected by Trump Doge cuts? What did they really did they warn people enough? And it's just all garbage. Like we're hearing more and more stuff about how the camp had just passed a safety test a couple of days before this happened. Like they were just cleared for their safety plan. This had never happened before in this camp. Nobody there had cell phones because there's no cell phone coverage there. So you can't get the little alerts like we might get, like we got when the National Weather Service alerted me yesterday to a severe thunderstorm in my area. They don't get those there. The people voted against putting in an alarm system with sirens a few years ago. This is nobody's fault. What happened was a tragedy. But they continue, the mainstream media in this country continues to drag it down that path for one reason, and I don't give Chris Cuomo too much credit, but he is over on News Nation these days, and he kind of nailed this yesterday. He's like, I don't agree with the policies of AOC or Bernie Sanders or any of them. I don't agree with the tact a lot of news organizations are taking on this story. He said, but this is not about policy; it's about hatred of one man. Mm-hmm. And they can't see past the end of their hatred to ask legitimate questions. They have to try to make it all about evil, bad man orange. Bad orange man bad. That's it.
No, it's true. It's really sad how political this has become. I'm not surprised because any tragedy somehow morphs into this discussion, especially when it involves Donald Trump. Everything is his fault. If we had several days of rain, they would say it's somehow Donald Trump's fault. If we had a tornado, they would say it's Donald Trump's fault. Right. I mean, it's like everything that happens, they find a way to blame it on him. Meanwhile, they're now still looking for, the initial number we had for people who were still missing at this point was 41. That was the number they were going with.
Yeah.
Now they've upped it to, I initially heard 161. Now Fox was reporting this morning, I believe like 173. So you think
still
about
unaccounted for.
So
okay.
you think about the death toll being, I think it was 110 is the latest. That could more than double.
It's and I wonder, and I haven't heard anybody say this. I wonder, Ethan, as campers, I wonder how many of those might have been people who were camping along that river that they just didn't have like an official campsite or something like that. And family members know that they went there for the weekend and have just never heard from them. And they were just swept away. If you had a campsite, there would be a record somewhere that you were reserved for that site.
Sometimes.
Most times.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of people that, like, if I put up my camper somewhere and you come with a tent, sometimes you won't register.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like there could be more people on the site than they have registered for.
Exactly.
But the number oddly continues to climb in terms of the number of people still missing. And if their numbers are right, you could the terrifying thing about this, you could end up with a death toll of 250 people down there? It's at 110 right now.
So it's 110, and they're saying like 160 plus are still missing.
Still
so you'd
missing.
have just shy
Of
you'd like 270, 280, just
yeah.
shy of 300.
Wow. Well, and corrective action will be taken. Now, I watched part of the news conference yesterday with Greg Abbott in Texas, and he's beside himself at some of the criticisms that have been leveled already. Everybody who lived there knew this was a flood zone. Now, we've made that argument before in places like West Alton after the big floods and the repeated floods in these areas, and the people want their houses rebuilt and they want to try to get insurance and move back to the same area when it's been repeatedly flooded over and over and over again. A lot of these people are aware in that river valley that flooding is an ever-present danger, and yet they still didn't have the proper sorts of alerts set up. I would want a tornado warnings type siren telling me when the river was rising like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they voted against it.
Well, and we were talking to the National Weather Service guy in St. Louis on Monday, and he talked about how if it's at a severe level, they have different stages. They will send an alert, kind of like what we get for an Amber Alert, where it's very jarring, and that'll wake you up out of bed.
If you have cell phone coverage.
That's true, I guess.
They didn't have cell phone coverage.
So, but I wonder, isn't there a way in some cases when there's some sort of a disaster like that even if you're out of the cell coverage, that they're still able to send some alert to your phone?
I don't know. It's a good question. Good question for Elon Musk.
He sent Starlink there.
When I was in the mountains in the glacier last year, remember, we were in an area with no phone coverage, and some guy apparently had a heart attack or something, some severe problem, and we were able to use that system on the iPhone to request emergency help. So I don't know if they could send out alerts through that. Those are things I just don't know the answer to. But obviously, we have different alerts here in the St. Louis area because we have good cell phone coverage, but in that area they didn't. There's just so many things to talk about with this right now. Pointing fingers, it's just entirely too early for that. So I felt bad for the governor and for these other officials who keep taking ridiculous questions on this. We'll have some coverage of that for you this morning as we continue through the day. There's also been, part of the big beautiful bill. There was money put in place for people who've been victims of the radiation poisoning over the years in the greater St. Louis area. And they pointed this out to me yesterday. We're going to have Kim Visintine on earlier to talk about this. Josh Hawley's been pushing for it. She pointed out to me yesterday, Kim St. Ange, did not remember this, was the first television reporter in the greater St. Louis area to start covering her group when they started pushing for this in 2009 or 10, maybe. They formed a group of people to start tracking deaths from cancer that there were just clusters of cancers being reported up in North County around these sites, Coldwater Creek and the like. And I went up and did an interview with them and started asking questions as to why does nobody cover this? And the answer at the time was, well, we need a lot more hard medical evidence before we can claim that there are clusters of anything. And they've been fighting this for years. Multiple people in the same neighborhoods dying of odd cancers that are just unusual. And they've started asking these questions, and at first they just hit a brick wall. They got nowhere. And now, years later, you finally got, through the help of Josh Hawley and others in passing this bill, they're going to finally get some action on this. And we're going to get Kim on here this morning at about 7:35 to talk a little bit more about that. Right now, Ethan, let's get to our top stories, please.
The Marc Cox Short List.
You ask, I'm going to use your words. Who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers.
Yeah, there's Governor Abbott reading him the riot act yesterday for having the audacity to continue pointing fingers while they're still digging bodies out of the riverbed.
Virtually everything he said was untrue. So the question is, does any of this trick the wire to perjury? They're very careful in how they word this. Comey is very careful to say that there wasn't basically malicious intent, not that there weren't mistakes.
I can't wait. They're going to drag Comey back before the DOJ and question what he knew and what Brennan knew about the Steele dossier. That is long, long overdue.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
Yeah, a swing and a miss by President Trump there yesterday. The reporter asked the question that a lot of people in MAGA world are asking, why don't we know more about this? And the president just completely deflected it.
Did say this morning that undocumented workers would not be covered by any amnesty from working on farms. So
No, there's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program.
Good. Glad he answered that one properly. Because the mainstream media was floating a report yesterday that Donald Trump was considering amnesty for a bunch of illegals that are in the country. He said there is no amnesty. They're going to look at some sort of a work program. Now, I don't know what that means. We're going to be finding out more details on that, though, before it actually happens. All right. We'll talk more about the Epstein thing coming up in the next segment. I think that bears a little more talk this morning. I don't know about you. I was not happy with the president's answer on that, or Pam Bondi's answer for that matter, on the Jeffrey Epstein files. All that's coming up for you right now. Let's get to our national anthem.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. Well, I'll tell you what, not a bad start to the day as far as traffic goes on the Missouri side. But there is an accident on the Illinois side, and this happens to be on westbound 64, just past 255, and it's caused a jam. So if you are traveling on the Illinois side, expect a slow go, westbound 64 at 255. We also have some volume this morning in Route 3, or on Route 3, in both directions at Monsanto. Probably a slow-moving train. But other than that, we're good, and we look fine on the Missouri side. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
I don't know about you, but it absolutely poured at my house for a long time yesterday afternoon during those thunderstorms. Now, I am among the fortunate ones. I have a dry basement. I have not encountered a problem with a leak yet. I did in my first house, which was 2 houses ago, and that was a problem. And I had to have somebody come in and help me fix that problem. If you have a wet basement, call my friend Matt Hayes at Home Shield Foundation Repairs. I know Matt personally. He's a great guy. He owns this small family-owned company, and he's a foundation expert. He's a foundation specialist. He's going to walk into your basement. He's going to look at what's going on. He's going to let the basement speak for itself, tell him what's happening, and then he's going to give you a solution that's not about upselling you for things you don't need. You got to be careful about that. Matt will come over in person. He's the one who will come to your house. He'll show you what's wrong. He'll tell you how to fix it. He can waterproof cracks in the wall. He can do drain tiles if need be. He can put in sump pumps or replace your sump pump. And if you've got structural problems, that's a big deal. Let Matt work on that. He's got this Invisibeam by Fortress. It comes with a manufacturer's lifetime warranty. So once the problem is fixed by Matt, it's fixed for good. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
The Cards, the Nationals.
Seitzman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Seitzman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll free at 888-367-6512.
He's got the ammo. Marc Cox.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're going to rock around the clock tonight.
Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy.
Yeah, how did you feel about that answer yesterday, Kim St. Ange? I have to tell you, I don't hide the fact that I support most of what this president does. I really do. This, however, this is problematic. It's problematic for a lot of us who've beaten our heads against the wall for many, many years now, feeling that you never really get a true answer out of Washington, D.C., that just like the Raiders of the Lost Ark at the very end of the movie where they're taking the crate and they're hiding it in this big warehouse, never to be seen or heard from again. That's what I feel like everything happens in Washington, D.C. Finally, you've got the right people in place, we believe, with Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. I mean, she might not have been my first choice for Attorney General, but I did think that we've finally got people that are going to give us straight answers. And nothing. We got nothing. I saw a meme yesterday I thought was interesting. It was a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell sitting in prison, and she says, "Wait a minute. Nobody else was involved? So why am I in jail?"
I saw that
was
too.
it, right. That's a legitimate. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail for helping him facilitate all of the young women who were taken to that island and abused? I don't know if there were any young men involved or not, but there were certainly young women. There are passenger manifests of people that flew to the island. How is nobody else? If he had videotape in every one of his mansions and all of that stuff, how is nobody else implicated in that case?
I thought this was a misstep by Trump. I don't think he understands that his own fan base wants to know these answers.
I think it was their first chance to get in front of Pam Bondi since the news broke that, according to the Trump administration, there's no there in Epstein, and it was a legitimate question by the media. For the president, that's what you want to waste your time on with everything else that's going on? Well, yeah, Mr. President, it is. Mm-hmm. You're willing to take these questions. Pam Bondi has to take these questions. Why the hell is there no? There've got to be videos other than porn videos. She pivoted to the fact, and I heard Megyn Kelly point this out yesterday as well. She pivoted to the fact, well, there are thousands of videos, but it's all child porn that he downloaded. Well, no, that's not. Nobody wants to see child porn. What we want to know is who was there.
And why is
Bill Clinton's name keeps getting thrown around? Was Bill Clinton on the island? That somebody knows the answer to those things because they were getting ready to prosecute this guy before he suddenly died. And then the hope was, well, now that he's dead, maybe it'll just all go away. And none of us have been willing to take that for an answer.
Well, they're missing a minute of surveillance, which is weird, and they won't address that. To me, them brushing this off is a little bit incriminating. People are already speculating that Trump had something to do with this. I'm not saying it was directly Trump, but it's incriminating, in my opinion, that there's someone that they have a connection with who could be there. It's weird. I don't know why you would not release this.
They're all like, how quiet were the Democrats yesterday when this news came out?
Well, yeah, because everyone's freaked out because there's Democrats and probably Republicans who were on this list.
Did you hear the speaker, the minority speaker in the House, the Senate Majority Leader? Did you hear any of them coming out screaming they're hiding this because Trump's on the list? No. The Trump thing's been cleared up for a long time.
No, someone he's connected to,
well,
someone
maybe.
Who there'd be a reason why they wouldn't want to disclose it.
I don't understand, after all of the hell that was raised leading up to the election about we're finally get to the bottom of Epstein, for Bondi to say the list is on my desk. She's now trying to backtrack and say, I just meant the file. I didn't mean the list. Sorry. I think a lot of us aren't going to buy that. So I'm sorry to say it, but hit and a miss yesterday, swing and a miss, I should say, by the president. Coming up, we're going to get to Kim on a whim. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Marc Cox Morning Show
on 97.1 FM Talk.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
All right, let's look for just a minute at what you're feeling like these days, guys. You know it, I know it. You slow down a little bit over the years. You don't like to admit it. It's not an easy thing to admit, but you know if it's happening to you. You can fix that. It's pretty simple, actually. You just call Victory Men's Health and set an appointment. They've got 4 great locations now. I'm sure one of them is somewhere close to you. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you can call them and say, I heard Marc Cox talking about this. I know that he's worked with you guys for 7-8 years now. It's been a long time, and it makes a huge difference. It makes a difference in your energy level, just your enjoyment of life. The folks over there, they're just going to take a blood panel. You should get one of these with your general practitioner once a year. Let them take a blood panel, figure out if you need hormone optimization, you have vitamin deficiencies that can help you with weight loss. Go to their website. It's victorymenshealth.com.
I'm Maria Bartiromo, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Today, we'll find out what the Federal Reserve was thinking when it decided not to lower interest rates in June. The minutes from that meeting will be released today. David Bahnsen of the Bahnsen Group believes the tariff situation is headed for a good outcome in the end, and he sees markets shrugging off some of the developments.
The markets know that President Trump is not going to go forward with the worst things that have been threatened back at Liberation Day, and markets are discounting mechanisms. They price in what they believe about the future. We're going to get deals. We're going to get open markets. We're obviously not decoupling from China.
Amazon's Prime Day sale continues through Friday. It's also Target Circle Days through Saturday, and Walmart deals continue through Sunday. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. Well, we've had some issues already on the roads, but they were both on the Illinois side, and that continues to be the case. There is an accident on westbound 64 just past 255. All kinds of emergency crews on the scene, and traffic is jammed back not quite to 157. Also on the Illinois side, a jam at this hour on Route 3 at Monsanto Avenue, which is usually a slow-moving train. They just go back and forth, and you sit there and think, will this ever end? But that's happening on the Illinois side. On the Missouri side, it's quiet, and things look fine as far as the interstates go. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals, because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
All right, I've got great news here. If you are a lover of the Second Amendment, guess what happened? You know, the big, beautiful bill eliminated the $200 tax stamp on suppressors. My friends at the range are going to step up here for you, though, because that cut in the tax stamp doesn't come until January of next year, January of 2026, right? So the range is going to celebrate that policy change. They are holding a sweepstakes right now for a $300 credit toward a new suppressor at the range. The range will pay for the tax stamp. You could get, in other words, up to about $500 towards your new suppressor. Suppressors do more than they do more than just protect your hearing. They reduce recoil, they enhance your shooting experience, and the Range St. Louis West can make acquiring that suppressor seamless. They have a big in-store selection, and they are passionate about these how to handle applying for the ATF paperwork and all of that stuff for now. And then you have a chance to win $500 toward the new suppressor. If you want more details on this, just go to this website, therangestl.com/971. therangestl.com/971. This is for my listeners only. You could go online to participate. therangestl.com/971. Don't miss out on this opportunity to experience a suppressor.
AM Drive Bliss. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show. Kim on a whim.
A really big win for churches yesterday. I don't know if you were following this news about the IRS comes out and says that churches can endorse political candidates.
This is a big win for your church.
This is a big win for my church.
Absolutely.
Because the IRS years ago when Biden was in office was investigating my church out in Maryland Heights for discussing something related to political candidates. And I think that one was more so talking about school board candidates because we had a couple of our members who were running for the school board. So naturally, they were letting the congregation know that they were running for those offices, those positions, and that they supported the values that we find very important as Christians. And so this is so exciting to me, and I don't know what the future looks like if some Democrat were to be elected, if they would just find a way to say, okay, this is no longer a thing.
They could,
but they would have to go to court, it sounds like, because what happened was there were a couple churches out of, I believe, Texas that had sued over this. And what they decided was that these, what they're calling internal church discussions regarding politics, they don't violate the Johnson Amendment. What the Johnson Amendment does is it says, if you want to talk about this stuff, political stuff, then you could be at risk of losing your 501c3 status, which would be detrimental to so many of these churches to lose their tax-exempt status.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just so thrilled, and I'm really hoping that a lot of these pastors who have been scared to death to say anything political, even if it's biblical, okay, they hide behind this whole thing of, well, we don't get political from the pulpit. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, a lot of these issues that they don't want to address are biblical. And I think that they use that, well, we don't talk about politics, as a way to avoid some of those more controversial topics.
This has been a suppression of free speech issue forever. This is nothing about the government establishing a religion. This is about faith leaders being true to their faith, because you have hypocrites like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden, who are Democrats, who also claim to be Catholic, who want to go take communion, but then want to go out and use public tax dollars to fund abortion.
Right.
Well, the big, beautiful bill's gone a long way toward eliminating that problem, but it took a long time. So this is just a poke in the eye to all those hypocrites who don't want churches to talk about the truth. They want you to keep your mouth shut on these things. Mm-hmm. And you heard me loudly say on this radio station that you had a lot of people who were in the pulpit who were cowards during that last election, during the Amendment 3 debate. Well, I'm afraid to stand up and say anything for fear that the IRS will crack down on us. This wasn't about a political, even a political candidate. Even if you were afraid that there were questions about whether or not you could get involved endorsing or talking against a particular candidate, this was an issue that gets to the basis of your faith, of what you believe in, of your doctrine against murdering innocent children. And you still had pastors who wouldn't bring it up in their congregations. I don't understand that. You're supposed to lead the flock, but they weren't doing it.
I agree. They're now looking at this as more or less a family discussion concerning different candidates. my church has been talking about politics for years, but again, it's biblical issues. They're not ever standing up there saying, we support Donald Trump and we are encouraging all of you to go out and vote for Donald Trump too. They're not saying that. And it's funny you talk about the hypocrisy in all of this, Mark, and I think that's really important to point out because the same people who, for example, were very upset that my church here locally was talking about these school board candidates, those are some of the same people who see no issue then with Kamala Harris doing this. Remember when she was going around in Georgia talking to all these churches?
Pastor Brian, I thank you for your leadership. You and I have discussed, we first met almost 20 years ago when there was a convening of rising stars in the country. And we had conversations back then about how we thought of our role and responsibility to our country and our responsibility and duty as leaders. And it is so good to be with you this morning to celebrate what you have accomplished with this extraordinary congregation. And so I'm honored to be here with everyone, and thank you.
Well, apparently the pastor's responsibility there in Georgia was to make sure that he hosted the candidate, the Democratic candidate for president at the time. This was part of Kamala Harris's Souls to the Polls. Remember that?
Yep.
Trying to get people out to early vote. Clearly, it didn't help her in the end. But there was nothing wrong with that she was going around to all these churches, specifically black churches in Georgia, trying to get people to vote, to show up, vote for her.
This has been going on for so long. Remember Jeremiah Wright? He was Barack Obama's pastor in Chicago, who loudly took to the pulpit supporting Barack Obama. Nothing was done to him. He's the one that said, GD America's racist. The Tea Party is a racist mob. This guy was loud and proud, griping about Obama. Nothing ever happened to his church. Nothing. Mm-hmm. But when somebody perceived to be doing that in favor of a Republican, then you had the Biden administration trying to use the IRS to crack down on them.
So what excuses will the church
use now?
Like let's talk.
Good question.
Let's talk next November because that's when here in Missouri they're saying the fix for Amendment 3 will be on the ballot. That's going to be really critical. Okay, so you can no longer pastors. I don't know how many people listen, but I hope that you go and you talk to your pastor, email your pastor and ask them, why are you not talking about this? There's now nothing that would get in your way or cause you to lose. There's no excuse. There's nothing that would cause you to lose your tax status if you were to get up there and talk about Amendment 3. I mean, even before this whole ruling, they could have talked about Amendment 3 again because it's biblical. But now they really have no excuse. So that's going to be very infuriating to me if they still want to hide behind that lame excuse of, I can't do that. It's too risky.
Yeah. No, I would agree. Remember Hillary Clinton did it too. You played the Kamala Harris bite. Mm-hmm. Remember? Hold on. Where is it?
I don't feel no ways tired.
What?
She was quoting a play, I think, when she did it, but she was in a black church using her Southern accent and all this stuff. They've all done it. It just always seemed to look the other way when the Democrats did it. They always used, particularly the black churches, to their advantage to try to rile up the base during elections.
Are they not offended by the way that they're changing their accent? Because Kamala did that too. The clip I picked, you don't really hear it as much, but in the very beginning of this exact speech that I played for you, she's like, "Good morning, church. Good morning, church." I'm like, who are you? Stop.
Well,
stop changing your accent.
Hillary went on that Charlemagne the God show and joked about always carrying hot sauce in her purse, which is some sort of racial reference. They get away with it, and they don't seem to care. Joe Biden, you're not black. If you don't vote for me, you're not black. Mm-hmm. No Republican can get away with saying garbage like that, but it's excused because they're progressive leftists who only pray at the altar of big government. That's the bottom line.
Imagine if someone said, "You're not white if you don't vote Republican."
Oh,
I was like,
goodness.
You just wouldn't say that. It's just stupid. It's so dumb when they try to put these people in these categories.
Kim, that's a great subject, and I'm glad you brought it up. I had it here to talk about, but your question is key. That's a key question. When you're walking out of church on this coming Sunday and you see your pastor out there afterwards shaking hands and greeting the congregation, go engage with them and have that conversation. Did you see what the ruling is here by the IRS? Did you see this? because there's no penalty anymore for you talking about things that are important to our faith, like abortion, and candidates that are pro-murder or pro-life. You can talk about that now, and you don't have to hide behind the weak excuse that I don't want to divide the congregation. If somebody's sitting in your church and they're pro-abortion, you ought to be having a conversation with that individual. You should.
I agree. It's so problematic. That is one of the saddest things to me is how many people who regularly attend church. In fact, I forget where we were driving the other day, and I'm thinking, wow, there are so many churches, like every corner, depending on which area you're in. Like there's a church every few blocks. And how do we have so many people who say that they go to church regularly and still hold certain values?
Shame on you
don't
for
understand
politicizing
that.
church, Kim.
You're right. I'm sorry. I repent.
Repent. I'm just kidding. But that's the attitude. It's a great question. Ask your pastor how they're going to deal with that. Whether you go to a small congregation or one of these mega churches, stop them and ask them.
And if they won't talk about this because they're too chicken, you might consider leaving. Go to a church that will talk about this stuff.
I'm just saying. I think you're spot on with that one. Well done. All right, we're going to be back here in just a couple minutes. We'll talk more about this RECA, R-E-C-A, that passed in the big, beautiful bill, and they're finally recognizing some of the radiation damage done to St. Louisans 55 or 60 years ago. We're going to talk about that coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. We've already got some action on the Illinois side. An accident this morning, westbound 64, just past 255. A lot of emergency equipment on the scene and a real slow go. So traffic is jammed on either side of 255 on the Illinois side because of that. Now, we also had an accident reported, car versus deer, and that was southbound 67 at Buck Creek. Sounds like two cars involved in that one. And an accident just reported southbound 270 on the ramp to eastbound 44. Apparently the entire ramp not blocked, but at least one lane is. So take care on that ramp at this hour. This report brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie siding installation. You can go to sidingexpress.com to schedule your free consultation. Sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, if you're looking forward to retirement, I know so many people. I've talked to a good friend of mine the other day who's been retired for 7 years now. And I asked him what he's doing to fill his time. And, fishing, spending time with the grandkids. For some people, that's travel. Whatever it happens to be for you, if it hasn't happened yet, do you know how you're going to pay for it? And that's all my friends at the Retirement Advisory Group do. They help people plan for walking away from a regular paycheck. You have to know what your sources of income are going to be. And you have to know if your money's invested in the market, volatility happens. Right? Could happen again with the new tariff deadline set in August. You don't know what you don't know. And the Retirement Advisory Group's been doing this for 39 years now. Let them help you. Let them show you the strategies they've shared with other people for all those years. They're going to sit down with you for free. Have the conversation, and then you'll know what you don't know, and you can make a decision whether or not you want to work with them. It's that easy. Bob Kershaw, his wife Tammy Kershaw, Thomas Helbig, great people, family-run operation at the Retirement Advisory Group. Call them today. Tell them you heard Marc talking about him. You'd like to have that conversation. 314-993-9494. That's 993-9494, or you can even register, make an appointment right online at retirementkey.com.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
This summer, while you stay cool, our first responders stay on the front lines. The St. Louis First Responder Canteen is there to keep them hydrated and supported. Find out how you can help by visiting 971talk.com/talkinaction.
Cut through the hype. Get to the truth. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Follow the show on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Marc Cox Show.
Well, congratulations to Senator Hawley for leading on this issue. You know, I heard some friends the other day who were talking about this Radiation Exposure Compensation Act that people have been yelling for and talking about for years now. And Republican and Democrat alike could not get it done. And I don't really understand why. Anybody that's grown up in this area, and I've lived here for 32 years now. My wife grew up in North County. Her brother and his kids, they played in an offshoot of Coldwater Creek. So they played in a creek that fed into Coldwater Creek. Coldwater Creek was one of those areas in North County, just north of 270, around 270 in Lindbergh there, if you know where that area is now, where they moved some radiation back post-World War II or maybe in the middle of the war, and they moved this radiation and they had it buried for a while in containers out there right on the edge of that creek, and it seeped into that creek. And people that lived all along that creek, they were never told that, right? Their kids played in that creek. People had houses that bordered the creek. And if you're a kid, you're going to a stream to play in it. And then there are suddenly clusters of weird cancers and people dying of brain tumors and melanoma, not melanoma, but leukemia and all of these different cancers. And people started asking questions. Why, how could our government do this to us? I mean, we know what happened down in Weldon Spring. That's where all of that stuff was created. They've even got a visitor center down there for it. But for some reason, the government never wanted to be held responsible for what happened there. And finally, they got RECA, that's what they're calling it, the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, passed. And they're celebrating this, and they should. People have been working on this for decades. And coming up here at 7:35, we're going to talk a little bit more about it with Thone Visintine. I covered this story for the first time back in 2011. That's when this mom's group, this group of concerned citizens for Coldwater Creek kind of got together and started saying, hey, what about this? And I remember covering the story, Kim, and I remember going to health officials and asking, well, how could you have one street where this large a percentage of people all have all of these odd different kinds of cancer? What are the statistics? What are the odds that would happen? Well, I mean, you can't just pick one street out and say that. You'd have to have a long-term study and go back and look at this and potential causes and what else had they been exposed to. And I mean, it was just the same pointing fingers somewhere else. Nobody wanted to take a stand and admit that this was a problem. And I covered that in, I think, 2010 or 2011. And when I saw that this had happened, I reached out to a couple of those ladies again who I'd originally talked to back then. And Kim is going to join us this morning at 7:35 to talk more about this. Because you know that it was Mallinckrodt at the time, stored some of that radiated uranium. They processed it at one of their downtown plants. They were contracted as part of the Manhattan Project. They buried some of it up in North County along the Coldwater Creek shed. It was later taken and buried at that Westlake landfill out in Bridgeton, where there's for a long time was some sort of underground fire going on out there. Remember that? And a lot of people led for that to be. We're leading the fight for that to be cleaned up. And this RECA thing, I mean, nobody wanted to take any responsibility for it. So some states apparently were already eligible for some compensation under a past version, but others, including Missouri, had been excluded from it. And the new law adds those states in: Alaska, Arizona, Idaho, Missouri, Kentucky, Nevada, Tennessee, and Utah. For compensation to workers in uranium mines and processing plants and people who had health problems as a result of this. So I don't know how far it goes. I don't know if it goes far enough. But Senator Hawley fought people in both parties to draw attention to this, and I think he should get credit for it. And he took time and pointed out that Cori Bush, the ex-congresswoman from the 1st Congressional District, also spent time working on. I don't think she got anything else passed when she was there. She apparently did.
That was her one big thing.
Work on this, and then Wesley Bell apparently called the praised the bill as well.
We haven't heard anything, by the way, really from Wesley Bell since he went to Congress. It seems like, but that's beside the point. But I just keep forgetting that he's even in Congress. But yeah, this is a huge win. In fact, we're trying to get Holly on the show because this has been his big number one issue that seems like that he's been working on.
Well, it has, and when we get him on here, we'll ask his ultimately he voted for the big beautiful bill. Mm-hmm. He's bound to hear in the media all the lies about the Medicaid cuts and how people are going to die. Hundreds of thousands are going to die. Because we are going to take people off Medicaid who never should have been on it in the first place. That's called waste, fraud, and abuse. If you're capable of working, go get yourself a job. You don't need free medical care from the government. That's reserved for people who desperately need it because they've got some physical or mental reason that they can't work. And we do have that safety net in place. You just expanded it under Obamacare, and now you want to scream when we take it back to where it always should have been to begin with. But we'll talk more about that. Hopefully we get the senator on this week. We'll get to a quick break. We're going to talk to Nicolee Ambrose about what's going on in L.A. with ICE and some of the lies Big Mouth Bass out there is spreading about that. We'll be back.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
97.1 FM Talk is proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot happening Thursday, August 7th at Strathelman Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinals standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebs for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Don't wait. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who've served. 97.1 FM Talk, backing our veterans every step of the way.
God, remember when the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Pile were flying around the arch selling flooring?
Andrea, that was the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Tile.
Oh, that's right. But we don't need shtick here at Best Buy Flooring.
That's right, because our in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile are already at low, low prices.
Come see us at our 3 area locations, North County, South County, and Metro East. Open 7 days a week.
Plus, free financing on approved credit. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
When disaster strikes, the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis is there. Tornadoes have left families displaced and communities in crisis, but you can help. The Urban League Tornado Disaster Relief Humanitarian Fund provides emergency shelter, food, clothing, and critical support to those affected. Your donation brings hope when it's needed most. Visit ulstl.com to donate. That's ulstl.com. Stand with us. Stand for St. Louis.
Men, do you want infinite vitality? Are you experiencing difficulty trying to lose weight, having loss of muscle mass, or even a loss of libido? Maybe you have feelings or depression or just constant fatigue. Infinite Vitality has a solution for you. Ditch the dad bod and reclaim your mojo. Mention Annie and get a $50 credit towards hormone replacement therapy and weight loss services. Call 618-486-1888. That's 618-486-1888. Infinite-Vitality.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
under investigation. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The FBI is investigating the heads of the FBI and CIA during the 2016 presidential election over their roles in the Trump-Russia crossfire hurricane probe.
Sources with the Department of Justice tell Fox News Digital former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey are under a criminal investigation for potential wrongdoing related to the Trump-Russia probe, including allegedly making false statements to Congress. According to the sources, CIA Director John Ratcliffe referred evidence of alleged wrongdoing to the FBI. This after Ratcliffe recently declassified a review documenting the creation of the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, which alleged Russia sought to influence the 2016 U.S. presidential election to help then-candidate Donald Trump, but finding the ICA's creation was rushed with procedural anomalies and that officials diverted from intelligence standards. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Day 6 of search efforts in central Texas for anyone missing in flash flood debris. At least 111 people are dead, with 173 now reported missing. And now there's deadly flooding in New Mexico.
The village of Ruidoso confirms a father and 2 children died as they were swept downstream in the violent waters.
It's hard to imagine the power of water, and I know you've seen it here before.
Mayor Lynn Crawford said in a statement, in his words, "Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their loved ones in this terrible tragedy." Emergency crews made more than 80 swiftwater rescues after the Rio Ruidoso rose to a record-breaking 20 feet. Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
The city and county of Los Angeles and 7 surrounding cities are joining a federal lawsuit to stop widespread immigration raids. Mayor Karen Bass.
It creates a public safety problem because if individuals in the city, and this has already happened, call it up and report it as a kidnapping, then you have LAPD go out, and then you have a mess.
America's listening to Fox News.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Good morning on this Wednesday. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. 6:03 is our time right now, 70 degrees if you're just leaving the house. A big win for Missourians exposed to radioactive waste. Congress has expanded eligibility and payouts to anyone impacted. Applicants who meet the criteria can receive a base payment of $100,000 plus additional reimbursements for any out-of-pocket medical expenses not covered by insurance. More people are riding the Metro in St. Louis. Bi-State Development, which operates the Metro, says ridership is up 15% this year compared to last year at the 11 stations where turnstiles were installed. The turnstiles are part of a $61 million security upgrade, which also includes a better camera system. Former Mizzou football coach Gary Pinkel has been arrested for drinking and driving again. He was arrested Monday just before midnight in Camden County, Missouri. You might remember back in 2011, Pinkel pleaded guilty to misdemeanor DWI and at that time was sentenced to 2 years probation. 6:04, 70 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Nationals 4-2 last night. That was after a nearly 2.5-hour rain delay. Game 2 coming up tonight at Busch Stadium starts at 6:45. 70 degrees now, 6:04. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Good morning to you. Well, the main issue we've had this morning is on the Illinois side. Pretty serious accident on westbound 64, just a little bit west of 255. All kinds of emergency equipment on the scene and a jam that goes back not quite to 157. There was an accident on the Missouri side, Highway 100 at Highway 00. We had an accident reported Southbound 270 on the ramp to eastbound 44, and a car versus deer accident reported southbound 67 at Buck Creek. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Martins came over, we were having spaghetti when we suddenly noticed that we started getting sweaty. So we grabbed the keys and we ate it in the van. That's what my friend said, call Jerry Kelly, man, JerryKelly.com. Give him a call even though it's late, JerryKelly.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Kind of a run-of-the-mill summertime weather pattern. We will see maybe a spot thunderstorm under partly sunny skies. Nothing like the action we saw late on Tuesday. 89 for the high today. Tonight, partly cloudy. It's a beautiful evening for summer in the 80s, 73. Thursday, partly sunny, maybe a spot storm, 90. Do that again Friday, though. Friday will bring it up to 93. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We are at 6:06 right now and 70 degrees downtown at the Arch. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show at 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere by downloading the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides. The bottom line is, I respect that. We don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice. Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
All right, good morning to you. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning. Hopefully you survived all that rain yesterday. And I understand the ball game was, did you say a 2.5 hour rain?
Yeah, it was
delay?
like 2 hours and 19 minutes, so just shy of 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was a lot of rain that fell yesterday, and hopefully you didn't have too many problems. I'm sure Sue Thomas had a fun evening down here on the Reardon Show yesterday. I'm not laughing at her, but I'm sure that was fun with the rain that was coming down to my house. Was a hard rain, and we had standing water on the streets and everything out there, and we're not even in a flood zone. So that kind of tells you what's going on with that. I think most of that's out of here for today, so you should be in pretty good shape. Sue will keep an eye on the roads for you, though. Stay tuned for that. Kim St. Ange, Ethan Bryden here with me this morning, and we're glad that you joined us. Coming up, we're going to talk to Nicolee Ambrose. She's the former Young Republicans chair, talking about this continued, what do you call it, the continued derangement of this mayor of L.A., who's decided that she's single-handedly going to stop immigration enforcement. And she's completely insane, in my opinion. She's making things up, although she did admit yesterday that there are lies floating out there around the use of the military in downtown L.A. When she was finally pressed on it, she finally admitted she didn't know. And we'll talk to Nicolee about that coming up in the next segment. We got to Nicole Murray at the bottom of the hour with business, and we'll get your in other news at about 6:45. Stay tuned for all of that. It's a little bit of a been a little bit of a mess out there for sure on a lot of these issues. We're going to talk more about the government that is finally going to compensate people who were affected by all of that uranium spread around the greater St. Louis area back in the 40s and 50s, and continue to haunt people and families that we know that graduated with my wife from North County High School, and we're going to get Thone Visintine on here this morning about 7:35. She was one of the founders of that Coldwater Creek group that started fighting for just some acknowledgement by the government as to what was going on in the neighborhoods up there around Coldwater Creek years ago, and that has finally paid off. We'll talk to them about that this morning about 7:35. Right now, Ethan, I want to get to the short list, please.
The Marc Cox short list.
So on every front, from alienating our friends
to not getting peace in Ukraine, to not getting peace in Gaza and Israel. This is not a president who has brought calm to the world. He's just brought frickin' chaos to the world.
Oh, poor Claire Bear. Little Claire McCaskill. She got nothing to do these days but take her paycheck from MSDNC and get on there and spread the Democrat talking points. Sounds a little desperate to me.
It sounds more like they want to put down a rabid dog than that they have a political disagreement. And this is where extreme talk leads.
Oh, yeah, you know who he's talking about. He's not talking about talk show hosts. He's talking about AOC and Bernie Sanders and Karen Bass and all of these Democrats who are just so hate-filled with Donald Trump, they don't even care about what policy it happens to be.
There did say this morning that undocumented workers would not be covered by any amnesty from working on farms. So
there's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program.
Yeah, that's President Trump answering the mainstream media lie that was floating around yesterday that he's being pressured to take part in some amnesty program for a bunch of illegals that are still in this country.
New security measures at Metrolink stations. Last year, Metro Transit started installing these turnstiles at 11 stations. They added more security on trains as well as surveillance cameras. And the upgrades are helping bi-state development's bottom line.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. You know, here's the thing. Sometimes you just got to wait a while to say, I told you so. In this case, it's been about 32 years, roughly. Can you imagine when people travel to cities outside of St. Louis and they come back and they're like, oh, man, that metro system they've got there is fantastic. You get on like it used to be this way in New York. Now I advise people against riding the subway in New York because they're so anti-police up there that you might just get set afire or pushed in front of a train and there's nobody around to protect you. And if a citizen steps up and protects you from a crazy homeless person, they get tried for murder. So there are exceptions to what I'm saying. But in Chicago and places like that, in Washington, D.C., people will brag a lot about the metro system. And a lot of people are dependent upon it. And imagine what could have been in St. Louis. Just imagine what could have been if, at the time it was installed 35 years ago, however long that's been now, they would have done what they finally got around to doing the last couple of years, which was securing the stations to make sure the troublemakers couldn't get on the trains. So the story you just heard from Channel 4 is them what do they say about lies and dang statistics and all of that? I don't know. We're trusting Metro with the numbers here, but Metro is now claiming that ridership is up by like 15% on Metro at the 11 stations where these new turnstiles were added. That is the gates that you have to have a pass to pass through this gate. It's not just the little turnstile that hits you at hip level. This is a metal gate that with the turnstile that turns in one direction, and then you scan your ticket and it lets one person go through. They're claiming that at the 11 stations where the turnstiles were added, more than 1.3 million riders have boarded trains from January to May, which is a 15% increase compared to last year. At all metro stations, ridership is up 11%, or more than 3 million riders. And the number of incidents at those stations is down in the same period, dropping from 251 to only 215. What could have been in St. Louis? Years ago, when covering this story, we would go to the folks at Metro and say, why don't you have security at the station? Like, why don't you put officers in every time? We can't afford to. okay, so you have a perception problem here. People perceive that they're going to get on the train and they're going to ride through a bad area and somebody's going to rob them, and you can't change that unless you're willing to put officers in every train. Well, we can't afford to do that. We don't have enough people. It would take too big a force to put all those people on the trains. Okay, how about securing the stations so that the scumbags can't get on any train they want because they can just walk right up and hop on the train and there's never anybody to check your ticket? Well, that would cost too much. So they continued for years to have this problem on Metro where people were afraid to ride it. People didn't want to park at Hanley or whatever and ride the train downtown to visit downtown events out of fear that they were going to get run and on a daily basis if they wanted to ride it to work or not. Because when it's less frequently traveled, you would think you might have a greater chance of some crime being committed. Finally, they get around to spending $61 million in security upgrades with better camera systems, turnstile fencing, and all of that. And finally, ridership is up.
The only time I've ever really ridden the Metro was years and years and years ago when I had gone to Mardi Gras, and that was because so many people were on it that I felt safer.
You felt there were, during the night of a big event like a ball game or something like that you've got enough people around you that you're not isolated.
I know you haven't had a chance.
You can't defend yourself.
You've not had a chance to ride the Metro, not that you do often anyway, but to ride it since they've implemented these changes.
I have not.
Would you, based on what you're seeing now, the changes they've made, would you recommend someone ride it?
I don't know. It would depend on the situation.
Yeah.
That would be a
so you do think this is a
situational response.
Big change.
This is something they needed to do years ago, and I still don't think it's installed at every.
No, only 11.
But my guess is they targeted the 11 they were having the biggest problem with.
Right.
I would hope
it's a big step in the right direction, and they had to do something because we can complain and complain and complain about all these things and lost revenue, and it's not doing anything. Well, if you're not willing to invest money to make the changes that's causing the problem, well, then what are you complaining about?
So they dropped from 251 incidents to 215. That's a drop, but why do we still have 215 incidents? And what were those incidents? Were those armed robberies? Were they stabbings? What were they assaults? What were they would be my question. And then, so the next big step is if you conceal carry and you're a legal concealed carry holder, you should be able to carry on the trains. And when they take that step, that number of incidents will drop even more. So please do that, Metro. It took you plenty of time, but you finally got around to doing something that should have been done 33 years ago when this whole mess got started. You could have had one of the great metro systems in the area. Maybe you can get back to that. I don't know. Coming up, Nicolee Ambrose. We'll talk more about what's going on in L.A., where the mayor wants to stop ice raids, period. We'll be back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Major incident on the Illinois side has been causing delays this morning. It is an accident on westbound 64 just past 255, and it's reportedly involving an IDOT worker and a truck that were struck overnight. Traffic is jammed behind this thing back to 157, and this happened really early at about 2:30 this morning. And we now have a jam back to 157. If you can avoid this area, that would be great. Again, this is just east of 255 on westbound 64 this morning. That is by far the worst of it. We look fine on the Missouri side through North County. Eastbound 70 in good shape. 64 looks good. 44. And northbound 55, just the beginnings of a slowdown in the right lanes at 270. This report brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, let's talk about Rhino Shield for just a minute, because my friends at Rhino Shield are ready to help you. You saw that rain and stuff we've had yesterday. Guess what? Houses with Rhino Shield on it, they had no problems whatsoever, because when you have Rhino Shield, the outside of your house is 100% waterproof. You don't have to worry about it seeping into your unpainted brick or the wood. If you've got wood on the outside, wood paneling on the outside of your house, the Hardy cement board, any of that. You don't have to worry about it. If it's covered with Rhino Shield, you are covered. 100% waterproof, reflects 90% of the sun's rays, so it provides you with some insulation factor as well, because if it's reflecting those rays, they're not soaking in to the side of your house and building up heat. So that's another great effect from Rhino Shield. If you're going to paint, if you're considering doing anything with the outside of your house and you want to maintain the architectural structure that you bought, you want it to look like it did when you bought it and look like that for a long time, let Darren come out and give you a free evaluation for Rhino Shield. The stuff is fantastic. I'm a customer myself on my last house, and I loved it. Just call him today at 877-25-RHINO. Have him come out and show you pictures before and after of this beautifully durable Rhino Shield. You can go online to 877-25rhino.com.
The Cards, the Nationals.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Enjoy back to school with Ruler Foods. The savings are lighting up. Grab classroom must-haves for under 50 cents. Crayola crayons, plastic rulers, pencil sharpeners, sticky notes, index cards, and more. Stock up on folders, scissors, notebooks, and pencil pouches, all at unbeatable prices. And don't miss the star of the school year. Light up backpacks for just $12.99 and lunch bags for $7.99. Prices good through July 22nd at Ruler Foods, where smart shopping makes the grade. RulerFoods.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today. 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
Are you ready? Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of 99 tour returns. Saturday, August 2nd, Thunder Ridge Nature Arena. With very special guest, Daughtry. And Mammoth. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Creed with Daughtry and Mammoth. The Summer of 99 tour. Winner of the prestigious Marc Cox Morning Show Award every year. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
Federal agents in camo or actually members of the Marines or National Guard that have been mobilized by the Trump administration. Do you know that for a fact?
No, and let me just tell you that is one of the mysteries of what is going on in our town. What I do know is that the Custom Border Patrol was definitely there. I have been told that the National Guards and the Marines were playing different roles, some on the periphery, but that we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, there's Mayor Bass from L.A. yesterday on there trying to whip up the crowds. I've been told. Who were you told that by, Mayor? Who told you that the Marines were somewhere in the periphery? You're just trying to stir up fear yourself and stoke your own argument that you don't want ICE raids in your town. That's not going to happen. We've got Nicolee Ambrose with us this morning, former YR chair, Young Republican chair, and GOP committee woman from Maryland. Nicolee, welcome back. How are you?
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, I'm sick to death of what I'm seeing in L.A. These riots, the whole argument that Trump militarized that. Then and today, the only reason any federal troop would be in there would be to protect federal assets, period. I've heard of not a single interaction between the military and a civilian in L.A. Have you?
No, and you have to realize, so MacArthur Park, where, Mayor Bass went, valiantly striving into, is known by locals as meth Arthur Park because it's just full of drug addicts. It is so safe. No one would let their kid play in this park because they're just people doubled over about to die of overdoses in that park. It is so unsafe, littered, and disgusting. So, this is the same former congresswoman, the same current LA mayor who went on tour of Africa while her city was burning down, and she couldn't be troubled to make sure there was water in reservoirs to put out fire in fire season. But this is the same lady who can, run up to ICE agents and tell them to get out of her city and say, I demand to speak with your supervisor, so on and so forth. She's so protecting us from the meth heads that her city, helps create and can't take care of. But this woman is a disgrace.
What do you think about?
She cares more about fighting ICE.
What do you think about the ICE agents being told that they have to remove their masks and identify themselves? Because many of these agents have been victims of doxing.
Well, the best was when she was giving her press conference yesterday evening. She had people standing there with masks on themselves, apparently members of her administration. So, she obviously has no understanding, even though she served in Congress for over a decade, of 18 U.S. Code 111, that you're not supposed to assault a federal officer, doesn't seem to understand that you're not supposed to impede a federal officer in their efforts. But what's so concerning about all of this is it's just the trend of everything that's happening in every single blue city. And it was so funny because this same weekend, when we are all celebrating our nation's independence, Axios puts out an article interviewing over a dozen Democrat lawmakers where they are told, they're literally telling the reporters that their supporters, generally frequently white privileged supporters, are telling them to, quote unquote, get shot to resist Trump, and numerous other things, that civility is not working, so we have to prepare for violence. And what do the Democrats do? They get more ridiculous and they fundraise off of it instead of say, no, that is not the American way. Go to the ballot box.
Yeah, Nicolee Ambrose, our guest. The thing about it is Karen Bass is she's a community organizer, just like Barack Obama was. She used to travel to Cuba under Fidel Castro's regime when she was younger. And that she's trying to sow seeds of discontent in her own community as a way of fighting back against Orange Man Bad. That's all I see.
She has an extremely radical background. If you look at her history going back to the 80s and beyond, she is an avowed leftist. So it is no surprise that she's the type that might advocate for a violence or not have a problem with it.
What a shame. Nicolee Ambrose, thank you so much for your time. Always great having you on.
Great chatting. Thanks so much. Bye.
You take care. Appreciate that. Yeah. Karen Bass. I mean, come on. Just if you don't know anything else about her, just Google her name. And there are pictures of her in Cuba with Fidel Castro supporters years ago. She used to travel over there. She's a avowed leftist, just like Nicolee said, and she's doing her thing in the City of Angels right now, trying to stir up hatred against government employees in ICE. Wow. All right, coming up, we'll get to Nicole Murray, get you a check of business, see what the promise of new tariffs may or may not be doing to the markets this morning. We'll be right back.
The reason many of us hate insurance companies is because some of them act like bullies. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been dealing with these creatures my whole career. Whether it's a workers' comp claim, an auto accident, or a nursing home or medical mishap, the playbook is often the same: deny and delay. We became the largest injury firm in America for a reason. We fight the bullies. They know who we are, and I know it makes a difference for our clients. Just go to forthepeople.com and see our results and our verdicts after those bullies gave us their final offer. Hiring the wrong firm can be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. It's easy to get going. Visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer, or call us on your cell at pound law, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
All right, if you're a do-it-yourself warrior when it comes to flooring, man, do you have my respect? I'll tell you that. Michael's Flooring Outlet, though, they are ready to help you with that. Their store up there in Old Town St. Peter's has a do-it-yourself desk right there near the warehouse, and you can go in and get all the supplies you need and get that taken care of. Good luck to you. That's not me. The 4 times I have hired Michaels to put in flooring, Mike Reynolds and the gang up there have helped me from start to finish. They've helped me pick it out. They've sent samples over to the house where we could look at it, and then the installation has been seamless. And they do always follow up afterwards to make sure that you're happy. We've always loved that. If you're shopping for flooring, go see Michael's Flooring Outlet there in Old Town St. Peter's, maybe in West County off of Olive, or the new store, which is out in Darden Prairie. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. You can go online today. Just check him out at Michael's Flooring Outlet.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk. 70 degrees now at 6:30. The St. Louis Public School Board voted down a plan to relocate students in tornado-damaged areas to other schools. At least one school board member was concerned about violence if they mix kids from different neighborhoods at these schools. The board president says the school district and the teachers union will now work to come up with some sort of a solution ahead of the fall semester. Remote work has ended for thousands of Missouri state employees. So they were expected to go back to the office as of July 1st. This is more than 4 years after former Governor Mike Parson allowed this remote work during COVID. It's not exactly clear how many employees left their jobs over the return to work mandate. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Nationals 4-2 last night. That was after nearly a 2.5-hour rain delay. Game 2 is tonight at Busch Stadium. First pitch is 6:45. I'm Kim St. Our time right now is 6:31, 70 degrees. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, unfortunately, there was an accident overnight at about 2:30 on the Illinois side on westbound 64 past 255. And it sounded like we're getting all kinds of reports. It was a wrong-way driver, and an IDOT worker and a truck were struck, and they've had the 2 left lanes blocked, and they still do, and we have a jam back near 157. Avoiding that area, a good idea this morning. Now, on the Missouri side, things are pretty calm at this hour. There's a little bit of a slowdown northbound 55 as you ramp onto 270. But other than that, we look okay, at least on the Missouri side at this hour. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Time to talk real estate, and my friend Gloria Liu would love to meet you, love to have a conversation with you about the sale of your home. I don't know what you've been told. Chances are, if you're not a first-time home buyer, you've been through this before. You know that sometimes your house can sit on the market for months. You're not sure why. You're not sure what to expect. My friend Gloria can help you with this. Call Gloria up and tell her you heard Marc Cox bragging about how she helped me sell my home last July. 314-325-6888. Here's the deal. She named her company Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She stands behind that. Here's the promise she'll tell you. She's got a whole list of people looking in your neighborhood. It's why she makes this guarantee. She will be able to sell your home for 100% of market value, or she'll pay you the difference. You can take that to the bank. That is peace of mind. If you've ever listed a home, knowing that it's going to be sold one way or the other, and knowing that you're going to get full market value for it is important. 314-325-6888, or go online today to schedule your free market review at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Man, the heat has been killer for our comfort in the last week or so. We got swamped, and I'm not going to tell you to call me when we can't take care of you in a reasonable amount of time. But I've been hearing this, and it's interesting to where people want to get prices for new equipment. A word of advice on what you replace it with if you do not call me. Keep this in mind. Don't jump the shark and say, well, the more I spend, the more my bills go down. You and only you know what you spend a month on your utilities for cooling and heating. If you were told you need a new air conditioner or you know it's just not working for you, call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The only number, Missouri and Illinois, is 314-293-2600. God bless.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. You're up, we're up. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
All right, we're getting near the end of the month, and of course, we always deliver food to our first responders. You can go to 971talk.com/contests and enter your favorite first responder, police, firefighter, EMS, whoever it happens to be, by name. Send us your best argument for why they should be recognized, and Grill Master Tony and I are going to go down and deliver food to them. Sometimes it's one of us, sometimes it's both of us, but we will be there. So it's good. We have a good time. Sue Thomas, are you with me right now?
I am.
I am so jealous. Your brother Jeff right now is at mid-court for Wimbledon. That is so cool.
I am completely obsessed. And I'm watching the Wimbledon live feed in between traffic. I've just got it going off on the side. They're going to be center court for the Djokovic match in the quarterfinals. And they're over there because Sophie is graduating. And I come from a big tennis family. We had court time every Tuesday, and we played doubles against each other. So this is a huge deal. And Jeff said they were going over, and they thought, let's go to Wimbledon. He said, well, we'll get a side court. And then he thought, I'm not getting younger.
Yeah.
Well, you only live once. So they sprang for the center court tickets. So they're going to get to watch the good stuff today. So it's just so cool to see.
Good for him.
I'm so happy for him.
It's been many years since I've been to a pro tennis tournament, but that's the biggest one. That's the granddaddy. That's awesome. Well, good for you. I'm excited for him. That is great.
I am too, and at least it's not clay. So the French, I can't stand that. At least we got grass at Wimbledon.
That's
going to be awesome.
Yeah, I love the pictures. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. All right, let's get to Nicole Murray, please. Good morning, Nicole. How are you?
I'm just dandy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I was off on Monday, just like you, apparently. I had a long weekend because I was coming back from vacation, got back late Sunday night. What was your excuse?
There was wine that needed to be drank by the pool.
Oh, good for you.
You know?
You just had a long weekend. I see.
Yeah, just kind of needed a little bit of a reset, take a step back, and, enjoy the sunshine. I got a nice tan.
Nice. I got to go to the beach last week. I'm all relaxed.
I'm really happy for you guys.
And about as tan as I get. I put like 70 or 100 sunscreen on, so I don't take any chances.
Do you look like a lobster?
No, I don't. I actually did not get burned. My redheaded daughter got burned, because she didn't put enough sunscreen on her lily white skin.
The worst is when you get burned on your feet. You forget often to make sure your feet are covered.
The top of your feet. Yeah.
Oh, that's so painful.
Horrible to put shoes on after that, for sure.
No way. It's worse on the back.
You think?
That's probably true when you get in the shower.
Yeah, when you get in the shower, plus you can't 100% reach it. So if you're putting like that cooling gel on, like you need help, and then it's like, ugh.
Boy. First world problems. What's going on out there in the business world?
All right, so futures are slightly higher. Tuesday, the Dow Industrials lost 165, the Nasdaq up 5, the S&P 500 down 4. Demolition has started on the Woods Mill Shopping Plaza, here to make way for new condominium development. Mike McBride Homes plans to build 112 luxury condos with retail shops. The condos will feature 2 and 3 bedrooms with a private outdoor space. President Trump said he will impose a 50% tariff on copper imports and suggested more steep sector-specific duties are on the way. Trump added he would announce soon tariffs at a very, very high rate, like 200% on pharmaceutical imports. President Trump says there will be no extensions granted to the new August 1st deadline for U.S. trading partners to negotiate new deals or face significantly higher tariffs on goods imported from other countries. Stocks fell sharply after Trump's post went live. The Supreme Court has lifted a lower court order that blocked sweeping layoffs of federal workers at nearly 24 agencies. The high court order clears the way for the Trump administration to resume its efforts to scale back the federal government, which has been led by the White House's Department of Government Efficiency. A regulatory filing says Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has sold nearly 3 million shares worth more than $665 million over 2 days in July. The stock sale is part of a plan announced earlier this year that will see Bezos unload up to 25 million shares through May of 2026. And finally, the newest dating trend. Generation Z and millennial women are showing up to first dates without makeup. Experts say that arriving at a first date fresh-faced can help screen potential suitors who simply are not a match.
Wow, that's bold.
No, that's stupid.
That's stupid.
What are
you
think
saying?
of that?
How are you going to lure them in?
Because I get this whole idea of natural. I understand that, but there is something to be said for looking nice for someone. And I'm not saying you have to like glob on a ton of makeup. There are women who look absolutely beautiful with no makeup on. I look like a raccoon because I have dark circles under my eyes. And people are just trying to be nice. I'm like, no, you don't. Yes, I do. But I don't know. There's something, I just think that's important to look nice. And just like I wouldn't want a guy to show up looking like a slob. Like I don't want him to show up in sweatpants and a t-shirt because he's testing me to see if I really care about his personality. And no, I expect you to look nice. I'm not saying you need to wear a tuxedo, but you need to look presentable.
You can look nice without makeup, though.
No, you can. I guess I just feel like it's this whole, like, I don't know. There's something about that just feels like they're doing it for the wrong reason.
I've done this before, actually.
And how did it go well?
No, but that's not because I wasn't wearing makeup.
You should put a sign around your neck that said, "This is a test. This is only a test."
But did you do it for that reason?
I was just like, it was like a lunch date where I was running home from work and I did not have time to do anything other than moisturizer. It was kind of, all right, I guess this is what we're going with.
I just view that as different.
You're not the one driving down the road applying your makeup while you're driving. I've seen that all the time.
No, I'm a little too klutzy to give something like that a try. But I don't know. I might do it more often moving forward, especially now that I have a tan.
Oh yeah, that
tan
helps.
does make everyone feel better.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I don't think you need makeup to be presentable.
All right, Nicole, thank you.
We'll
talk to you Friday. Appreciate that. So when we traveled, Kim, we rented a car so that we could have enough more room. We needed a minivan because we took 3 teenage girls with us, and it had that lane assist on it. So my truck does not have that, but this car has lane assist.
It beeps at you,
which beeps at you if you start to go out of the lane, and then it tugs on the wheel a little bit too.
I don't like it.
I hated it.
I know. One of our cars has that too.
My wife loves it.
Beep, beep, beep,
So
beep,
she
beep, beep.
just got a new to us car. It's used, but she just got a vehicle, and it's got that on there, and I'm trying to figure out how to disconnect it. But it's the car she'll drive most of the time, and she wants me to leave it on. I'm like, do you get out of the lane that often? Is there something I need to understand about you?
But you could. She could also say
you could use it too. She said. I'm like, I don't like it.
She could also then make the argument, well, do you get out of the lane so much that's why it's bothering you? If you just stayed in the lane, it wouldn't impact you.
I don't know.
Right?
I just don't
it's
like
that jerking back part.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't care if it beeps at me, but when it pulls the wheel on you,
when it grabs the wheel.
Yeah. So if you get to my husband's car, I've for whatever reason been driving it more so lately, but it will beep at me if I'm getting if someone stopped ahead of me, and beep beep beep, and I feel like it sort of puts the brakes on a little bit. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's a little freaky when all of a sudden you realize that you're slowing down without pushing the brake.
My wife says to that, Ethan, if you just use your turn signal, it won't pull on the wheel.
I do sometimes.
You sometimes use your turn signal?
Sometimes.
No, I always use my turn signal. You're right. If it does disable it, if you put your turn signal on, it lets you get over without tugging on the wheel. But like if you forget, like if you're coming up on somebody and they're going really slow and you have to go over at the last second without a turn signal, then that's distracting. I don't like it.
If you cut in front of me, I'm a lot less irritated if you have your turn signal on. If you don't have your turn signal on, I'm automatically irritated. Like this is just disrespectful.
I don't know. If I had it on my car, I would disable it. I didn't like that thing at all, for sure. All right, coming up, we're going to get to In Other News in just a couple of minutes. Next hour, our friend Genevieve Wood, senior advisor from Heritage, and my friend Kim Visintine is going to join us. She is celebrating one of the things in that big, beautiful bill, which was RECA funding, which is the compensation fund for people who were exposed to radiation for years along Coldwater Creek and other areas in St. Louis. We're going to get to her at 7:35. Stay tuned.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the Illinois side, some good news. Crews have cleared the accident westbound 64 past 255. Now, of course, this volume has just kind of moved a little bit to the west. So we now have a bit of a slow go between 111 and across the Poplar Street Bridge. But it's not bad. It's not the parking lot that we saw before at 255. And just the beginnings of some volume now on northbound 270, especially Big Bend through Doherty Ferry and southbound 270 at Ladue Road. Also, eastbound 70 out west, we're showing some volume at Highway A, and then things open up and look fine all the way really into downtown. So not bad through there anymore. This report is brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie Siding installation. Visit sidingexpress.com today and schedule a free consultation. That's sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, we certainly depend on those windows to protect us from the rain yesterday, beating against the windows, from the cold air in the winter, from the hot air in the summer. You want them sealed up tightly so you know you're getting a great energy efficiency. If your windows are not doing that for you these days, maybe it's time to call my friends at Window World. They'll be happy to come out, give you a free estimate for one window or all of them. Just call 314-993-1800. 314-993-1800. Here's another thing. Interest rates for short-term financing of something are pretty high these days. They're going to offer you zero interest financing for anywhere from 18 to 36 months on your purchase of windows from Window World, maybe a new front door from Window World, and you can enjoy it now and take your time paying for it interest-free if you qualify. Just go to windowworldstl.com to find out more details on this. The other thing I love about Window World, and I think it's one of the reasons they're ranked number one in windows sold by Qualified Remodeler Magazine, number one in windows, is it's no pressure sales. They're not there. They're not going to beat you up and you have trouble getting rid of them. They're going to come over, show you their great product, and they would love to work with you if you'd love that. You can check them out. Their Google reviews, the Better Business Bureau, they're highly rated. Again, 314-993-1800. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. Go to windowworldstl.com.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage, or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Annie Fry Show.
Steve Moore, welcome back to the show. How excited are you to know that those Trump tax cuts were made permanent?
It has so many policy triumphs and victories, things that we've worked for 30 years.
The Annie Fry Show. Weekdays from noon to 3. More ideas, less taxes. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
What's happening?
Go, you know the thing.
What the hell is going on?
In other news.
Well, this is some sad news for any Chick-fil-A fans, because I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, might be tricked into thinking that Chick-fil-A is not as bad as some of the other fast food restaurants, but newsflash, it's not. World Atlas just ranked the 10 worst fast food chains, looking at their nutrition data and just different things, and Chick-fil-A came in at number 10
as
the most unhealthy. Yes.
It came in the top 10 or number 10?
Number 10, but it's in the top 10, but it's number 10. So number 1 most unhealthy was Wendy's. Then it goes Sonic, Taco Bell, Dairy Queen, KFC, Quiznos, which is not that surprising, but I love Quiznos.
Huh.
McDonald's, Smashburger, Little Caesars, and then Chick-fil-A rounds out the top 10.
So what is their definition of unhealthy? Like, why Wendy's?
Yeah, that seems odd.
Grilled burgers. I'm not sure what it.
Why.
Yeah, is that why?
Well, I mean, they look at calories and just different things, sodium levels and, sugar level or added sugar, things like that. And, they talk about their...
Taco Bell worse than McDonald's. That's interesting.
Yeah, did I even say
don't
McDonald's?
understand.
I didn't even say, no, McDonald's is number 7. Okay, yeah, I'm a little...
But you're not going to fast food for healthy reasons. You know what I mean?
That's true, but sometimes you're looking for the lesser of all
evils.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you can do I've seen people at Chick-fil-A, they have whole accounts on Instagram where they'll tell you, hey, if you want to go get something at a fast food restaurant, here's the healthier alternative, like the grilled chicken. But the salad dressings, if you go get a salad and then you put the dressing on it, you've basically ruined the salad, I've heard.
I usually get that grilled market salad, the grilled chicken market salad at Chick-fil-A,
they have good
which
salads.
is delicious. But if you look at the calorie count, you're not very far off from a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
550 calories in that market salad.
I'm eating it because it's got something green in it.
1,000 milligrams of sodium in that.
Woo!
Oh my gosh, 26 grams of sugar. How do you feel about your market salad now?
It's so good.
Don't ruin this for us,
That's why
Kim.
it's good.
Yeah,
It's healthy.
Stop. Hey, by the way, car buyers in the U.S. set a new record. This is stunning to me. In the second quarter, they set a record for the number of people who have $1,000 or more monthly car payments.
That's
it hit an all-time high of 19.3%, or 1 in 5 consumers have a car payment that's over $1,000. The average monthly payment, $756.
How are you affording that? Are you living in like a shack?
House payment. I don't know. But I mean, if you go out and you buy a new truck, for example, my truck today would be $70,000 if you don't have anything to trade in.
If not more.
If not more.
Yeah.
And if you don't have anything to trade in.
You don't get much if you trade in your car anyway.
No, not a lot, but
that's a terrible investment.
Oh, I know.
They just lose value. The minute you drive it off the lot,
Yes.
it's not like a home where you're built, Anyway, that's crazy to me. All right, this is just scary because I hate bees, and there's an unusual attack by bees in some French town that's left 24 people injured. 3 of them are in critical condition. These passerbys were stung over a period of about 30 minutes on Sunday morning. This is in south central France, and one of the people who was stung, I guess, is some 78-year-old person who went into cardiac arrest now and is thankfully in stable condition. But they're saying that this is related to some Asian hornets threatening a beehive that had been installed on the roof terrace of a downtown hotel more than a decade ago. The mayor of this town in France is saying that this had likely caused the bees to become very aggressive.
Wow.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, here's a feel-good story for you to end things. A guy in North Carolina is walking on his property, lets his dog out, which is this black lab, a couple of weeks ago. The dog runs over to the pond, and a 10-foot alligator grabs it and drags it into the water. If the audio's up over here, Ethan, I'm going to play something real quick here.
You see that white stake at the other end? That's where I was. I had my guard down. I didn't think about it. I heard him let out a yell like I've never heard in my life, and I heard water at the same time. I knew exactly what it was the instant I heard it.
Yeah, so he grabs a rake and goes over and attacks this alligator, and it let go of his dog. I mean, amazingly, it did. Thank goodness he had a stick or something with him, and he didn't have a gun, clearly, but he saved his dog. Dog had a few cuts on its leg, but other than that, it's going to be fine.
Funny because all the animal rights people were sitting there saying, why are you dissing these alligators at Alligator Alcatraz and saying that they're vicious and do all these things? Well, they eat people and they clearly try to eat dogs.
Yes, they will.
So.
They will. It's what they do. They're alligators. Yeah. My T-shirt's been ordered, by the way.
Did you? I knew it.
Alligator
I
Alley
called
T-shirt
that. Did I not, Ethan?
All right, coming up, we'll talk more about the effort to save people who were affected by radiation when we come back.
Are your windows drafty, outdated, or hard to open? Choose Infinity from Marvin Windows. Crafted from durable fiberglass for superior energy efficiency, beauty, and performance. At Lakeside Renovation and Design, we specialize in custom-fit professional window installations that transform your home. Plus, with our lifetime workmanship warranty, you'll have peace of mind for years to come. Call Lakeside today or visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free window consultation. Replace with confidence. Choose Infinity from Marvin.
Hey, it's Marc Reardon for Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. And your home is your sanctuary. You need to take the first step to peace of mind with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from the #1 Generac generator dealer in the country, Generator Supercenter. We learned the hard way here in St. Louis during the tornado recently that power can be knocked out. But even outside of that, what if the power grid fails and it's 100 degrees here in St. Louis? You don't want to be that person. Get with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis today. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. Tell them that we sent you along. Hey, it's Marc Reardon with news for listeners who, like me, want to learn more about Bitcoin. Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club is coming to St. Louis later this summer. The Bitcoin Ben Crypto Clubs teach members what Bitcoin is, how to buy it, how to safely store it, and how to avoid scams. And we'll connect with others like us who want to learn more about crypto. St. Louis will be the 7th club nationwide and Ben's hometown. If you want to know more about Bitcoin, you need to know Bitcoin Ben. Learn more at bitcoinben.io. That's bitcoinben.io.
The smartest way to do your homework is Hackman Lumber.
Warm weather means homework for homeowners. And for 80 years, Hackman Lumber has been the trusted name for home improvement. If your homework means a new deck, turn to the deck experts at Hackman Lumber. Browse the largest inventory of decking materials and accessories in Missouri. Talk with our experts about treated lumber, cedar, TimberTech, Trex, Envision, Decorators, and Duralife to find the perfect deck for you. Choose from endless railings, balusters, and LED deck lighting options. Hackman Lumber has been serving homeowners and pros for 80 years, and they will not be undersold on in-stock decking materials guaranteed.
guaranteed. Whether you DIY with their expert advice or need a trusted contractor, Hackman has you covered. They are now an authorized steel dealer. Plus, check out their expanded paint department. Brushes, rollers, painter's tape, and 4 lines of premium interior and exterior paint with custom color matching available. Visit Hackman Lumber's newest remodeled stores in St. Peters and Pacific or their showroom in Troy, Missouri.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
No peace in Ukraine. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The Russian military last week launched its largest drone attack of the war with Ukraine hours after President Trump spoke with President Putin. Now, today, an even larger attack after President Trump criticized Putin.
The Trump administration resumed shipping munitions to Ukraine this week following a temporary pause of air defense weapons.
And I will say the Ukrainians were brave, but we gave them the best equipment ever made.
President Trump also offering his harshest assessment yet of Russian President Vladimir Putin, accusing him of throwing around BS.
He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The president says there's trade news coming.
President Trump posting on social media, we will be releasing a minimum of 7 countries having to do with trade tomorrow morning, meaning this morning, with an additional number of countries being released in the afternoon. The president also announced the U.S. will impose a 50% tariff on imported copper, a critical component in making electrical components from the wiring. He also claimed the new tariff deadline in August is a firm date.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Fox confirms the Justice Department has former CIA Chief John Brennan and FBI Chief James Comey under criminal investigation over their handling of the 2016 Russia-Trump election interference investigation. The criminal referral comes from current CIA Director John Ratcliffe. A man and 2 children are killed in the flash flooding in New Mexico. More deaths are confirmed in Texas in the flooding that hit last Friday.
That death toll right now at 111 people. That includes at least 30 children here in Kerr County. Unfortunately, that number expected to rise dramatically because 170 people still missing. Trees snapped in half. These massive piles of debris stretching along the river for what seems like miles and miles.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Kerr County, Texas. America's listening to Fox News.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in experience and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Good morning. I'm Kim St. for 97.1 FM Talk. Hope your Wednesday morning is off to a great start. Overcast right now, 70 degrees at 7:03. A big win for Missourians exposed to radioactive waste. Congress has expanded eligibility and payouts to anyone impacted. Applicants who meet this criteria can receive a base payment of $100,000 plus additional reimbursements for any out-of-pocket medical expenses not covered by insurance. More people are riding the Metro in St. Louis. Bi-State Development, which operates the Metro, says ridership is up 15% this year compared to last at the 11 stations where turnstiles were installed. The turnstiles are part of a $61 million security upgrade, which also includes a better camera system. Former Mizzou football coach Gary Pinkel has been arrested for drinking and driving again. He was arrested Monday just before midnight in Camden County, Missouri. You might remember back in 2011, Pinkel pleaded guilty to misdemeanor DWI and at that point was sentenced to 2 years probation. It is 7:04 and 70 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Nationals 4-2 last night. That was after a nearly 2.5-hour rain delay. Game 2 coming up tonight at Busch Stadium. First pitch is 6:45. 70 degrees now at 7:04. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this morning, we have some volume on the Illinois side. It's just moderate on westbound 64, headed for the 55-70 split, and then a slow go across the Poplar Street Bridge. Northbound 270, some moderate volume, and this is in pockets between 44 and Manchester. 55 looks great today from down south into downtown. No problems eastbound 70, 64, 40, or 44 at this hour. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan of McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Kind of a run-of-the-mill summertime weather pattern. We will see maybe a spot thunderstorm under partly sunny skies. Nothing like the action we saw late on Tuesday. 89 for the high today. Tonight, partly cloudy. It's a beautiful evening for summer in the 80s, 73. Thursday, partly sunny, maybe a spot storm, 90. Do that again Friday, though. Friday will bring it up to 93. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
7:06 our time right now and 70 degrees. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere. Just download the free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I want to compliment your show on how fair and level-headed everything you guys talk about.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
Maybe what we need from a conservative standpoint is
the Marc Cox Morning Show.
I respect that. We don't agree. Listen to both sides.
This,
let's get it on,
is the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Hey, welcome back to the Marc Cox Morning Show on a Wednesday morning, a few minutes after 7. Happy you're in here with us. I got Kim St. Ange, Ethan Bright in studio, and we'll have Susan Thomas joining us with the latest on traffic coming up here in a minute. If you hadn't heard, overnight a wrong-way driver hit an IDOT truck and caused some traffic problems over in the Metro East. Sue will be having the latest on that for you coming up here shortly. So hopefully no big problems out there this morning. Some big stuff going on, though, of course, with this RECA act that was included in the big, beautiful bill. I don't know if you saw that or not, but basically people who were exposed to radiation in Coldwater Creek and other areas as a result of uranium stuff, the waste that was left over after the wars, right, after the Cold War and after World War II, being dumped and not cleaned up and people getting sick. Finally, they're going to potentially get some compensation for that. I don't know how long that'll take, but we're going to talk to Kim Thone Visintine. She's one of the organizers of a group that I first encountered many years ago, probably 15 years ago, 16 years ago, when they first started their fight to get some attention to this matter. And we're going to get her on here at 7:35. Be sure and stay tuned for that. We're going to get to all that for you coming up in just a couple of minutes here. Right now, though, I want to get to our top stories, please.
The Marc Cox Shortlist.
The administration has brought deliberately chaos in a situation, chaos and fear, because people around the city now are afraid to go to work.
Yeah, that's the Karen Largemouth Bass, the mayor out in L.A., who is very angry that ICE agents would dare to enforce immigration laws within the bounds of her city, which she apparently does not think is part of the United States anymore.
And you see people like not just Tucker Carlson and not just Alex Jones, and they were marching lockstep at the beginning of this administration. They're not anymore.
No, Claire McCaskill wants you to believe that because of some disagreements with Tucker Carlson and others over what happened in Iran, that the MAGA movement is disintegrating before your eyes, said no one ever.
New security measures at Metrolink stations. Last year, Metro Transit started installing these turnstiles at 11 stations. They added more security on trains as well as surveillance cameras. And the upgrades are helping bi-state development's bottom line.
Yeah, Channel 4, they're reporting on new stats out from Metro claiming that thanks to their security, crime is down and ridership is way up.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
That was President Trump yesterday in his big cabinet meeting when one of the reporters dared to ask about the Jeffrey Epstein situation. We talked about this in the 5 a.m. hour this morning. If you're just joining us, so I wanted to address this again because I think they're misjudging the amount of concern over this on behalf of people. And at the risk of saying, well, Claire McCaskill thinks everybody in MAGA now hates Donald Trump. Nothing could be further from the truth. But this is an issue that was part of the campaign. It was part of a lot of discussion by Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, just to name a few. And we really kind of thought, I say we, people who supported Trump and supported those two in their positions, that we might get some answers to all of this. But President Trump was a little put out that in light of everything else that's going on, that was one of the questions yesterday.
That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy.
Yeah, well, I can. And I'm not so sure that, I've obviously not in Donald Trump's ear. I can't tell him what to say or what not to say. Lord knows. But it is legitimate after. Now, maybe Donald Trump is not one of the ones that promised that. I mean, I can go back and search through my Trump bites through the campaign.
I thought he did.
Was he one of the ones claiming we're going to tell you what happened to Jeffrey Epstein?
I thought it was JFK, Epstein, and who else did
RFK.
he? And
you did it too.
I did?
You said JFK.
No, I thought
you mean the JFK files.
Right, the JFK files.
I thought you were talking about Robert F. Kennedy.
No. So he said he would release, if he were elected president, he'd release the JFK files, he'd release the Epstein files, and then I thought there was one other one.
MLK, I think.
Was it?
Was
okay.
It? Yeah.
I thought it was a trio. This is not a good look for him. The way you described it in the 5 o'clock hour, I think was spot on. It was a swing and a miss. I just don't think that Trump is realizing that a lot of his supporters want answers to these questions. The fact that there's, like a minute missing from the security footage that released is weird. Pam Bondi is dodging questions about this. I said this is incriminating on Trump. I'm not necessarily suggesting that Trump himself was part of this, but there may be somebody who has close ties to Trump that, for whatever reason, he doesn't want to disclose the information. It's not a good look.
But there have to be dozens of people, and I'm saying that conservatively, who are on videotapes that were recovered from Epstein Island. Now, one way you could cover this is to say, well, the only videos that prosecutors collected contained child porn, and that's what they were going to go after him on. But he had security video and apparently blackmail tapes at several locations. What happened to those tapes? Where are they? Where are those tapes with videos of whoever the Hollywood star might have been or the major politician in a bathing suit on on Epstein Island with their arm wrapped around a 15-year-old girl. Where are those tapes? You know they exist. And if they're not being released, there has to be a reason for it. Now, here's Pam Bondi. When Donald Trump got done saying what he had to say about this yesterday, Bondi said, yeah, I'll answer that. And this was her answer, which, again, falls way short on a lot of fronts.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
So
Epstein.
So Megyn Kelly pointed out, so the people in the Bureau of Prisons have known since 1996 that they have 1 minute at the top of every hour to do whatever the hell they want, and it's not.
This is it, boys. Let's go.
It's not going to be on video.
This is our minute.
I'm not saying that's what happened, but Megyn pointed out how ridiculous that statement is, that they've been using the same video system since 1996, and every night at midnight, for 1 full minute, you get a freebie. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Did you see the video I sent you on X? I private messaged you this message, and it was saying the lost 1 minute of Epstein footage has been recovered, and it's Hillary Clinton going in.
Into the door. Yeah.
It's funny.
I did see that. I saw that.
Well, her hubby might know something, maybe not in the jail cell, but I totally think that Bill Clinton had something to do with it.
Debbie on the Facebook feed, thanks for being too hard on
No. It's not. He's not saying that he thinks this is just an inappropriate time. He's using that as an excuse. I get it. To not address it. I get it that this is tough right now, and our focus primarily needs to be on what's going on in Texas.
Yeah, and I think
but that doesn't mean that you can't ask another question about a really big story. And the fact that he's had a lot of successes, we're celebrating those. Trump has been, in my opinion, and I know yours, a phenomenal president over the last, 5.5 months?
Yes.
That doesn't negate all of it. It's okay to not agree with every single thing Trump does. It's okay to think that he had one little misstep.
Somebody in his administration did in this case, for sure, in my opinion. All right, coming up, we'll get to Genevieve Wood. Something major just happened from the NEA conference that's been going on where they set their policies for the coming year. We're going to talk about that and other things with our friend Genevieve Wood from Heritage when we come back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute right now. If you are traveling on northbound 270 or will be, there are some pockets of moderate volume. Anywhere from Gravois up through Manchester. Southbound a little bit slow at Ladue Road. And on the Illinois side, westbound 5564, a little bit slow there from 3rd Street in East St. Louis across the Poplar Street Bridge. But in general, we look really good at this hour, and that's throughout the Missouri and Illinois side both. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Do you know how to handle your money in retirement? This is not a situation, of course, where you can just wing it. And the idea that you can find out more and then make a plan, it just makes sense to me. And when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And what they do is teach you things before you get into a situation. In other words, they offer a retirement planning 101 class, and you learn how to avoid costly mistakes. They teach you about maximizing your income, and here's how to reduce taxes in retirement. Things you need to know, and then you can decide if you want to work with them to figure out how to manage your money or whether you want to do it on your own. But at least you have learned how things work. So give them a call, 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com.
Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and get 1 free, plus $50 off air duct services. Book online today at ZeroResSTL.com or call 314-474-2020 and take advantage of the summer savings.
The Cards, the Nationals.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. So tell them today, I love you. Get screened. It could help save their life. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. Active Liver provides an easy daily detox. Go to NorDicUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
Rockin' the free world. This is the Marc Cox Morning Show. Follow the show on Facebook, facebook.com/The Marc Cox Show.
So America's largest teachers union voting to cut ties with the Anti-Defamation League over its ties to Israel for 4 decades. The ADL has provided public schools material about the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, but moving forward, the NEA says it will not use them. At the vote last week, one NEA delegate saying, quote, allowing the ADL to determine what constitutes anti-Semitism would be like allowing the fossil fuel industry to determine what constitutes climate change.
The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.
Genevieve Wood with us this morning, senior advisor at the Heritage Foundation. Genevieve, when I heard this story this morning, it's almost like it's a Babylon Bee article. Like the NEA does not want the ADL to teach on the Holocaust because they're associated with Israel.
Every time you think something can't get crazier, it gets crazier. And the National Education Association, which, by the way, is the largest union in the country, right? They've got 3 million members.
Yes.
And think about it. If your child goes to a public school, there's a good chance their teacher is a member of this union, because in many cases they're forced to be members of these unions, and they're fed this kind of nonsense. And their fees go to promote this kind of nonsense. So, the Anti-Defamation League, yes, they are out there trying to stop anti-Semitism. They tend to be pro-Israel, but no one would ever call them a right-wing group or even a conservative group, right? The reality is the left has been so overtaken with this anti-Israel and, frankly, anti-Semitic nonsense that you're now seeing it pop up in even major unions like the NEA.
Well, the Randy Weingarten stepped away from the NEA. I think she's stepped down. This is the new president of the NEA at the conference last year. Cover your ears so they don't bleed, please.
Depending on us, rise up, NEA, hold on, don't let go of anyone's hand.
I think that
there are no words.
I think they're insane. They've gone insane.
That's anyone in charge of education in the country, right there. That's
Are your
who you
ears
want teaching your children?
Are your ears bleeding, Genevieve? I saw some article in the Daily Signal that said 83% of Jewish students face campus hate, and you have to wonder how much longer. Like when you talk about these colleges, because I know what's going on at all levels, but specifically we've seen it playing out on the college level, and how much more of this will these colleges allow, and how much will they tolerate before these leaders are held accountable?
That's Kim, you're exactly right. And the reality is, it's not just Harvard, it's not just Columbia,
Right.
It's not just the kind of Ivy League schools that get all the attention. If you got 83% of Jewish students, that's colleges all over the country. And that article you're talking about was actually written by an intern at the Heritage Foundation, who's one of those students. He's got firsthand knowledge of it. I think he went to Kenyon College, and it's rising as a movement. This anti-Israel, but really it's anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic movement is what it is. It's horrible, and it's not just going to stay on crazy college campuses, because many of the people running those are the same people that are at the National Education Association and are plugged into our education system K through 12 across the country. And so it's alarming. It's extremely alarming. But I'm glad they called themselves out. I'm glad that they're showing their true colors, but we need to pay attention to it.
Yeah, it's very true. So Yale Shavelson, I hope I'm not murdering the name there, is the student that wrote the article. And I just want to read just 2 paragraphs out of it. During my last year at Kenyon College, my roommates, all members of Students for Justice in Palestine, called a meeting. There, I sat for an hour, stunned, as they hurled baseless accusations at me. When I couldn't stop the tears, I said, "I'm sorry, I have to go now." No apologies came, only cold stares from my housemates, one even smiling as I desperately blinked back tears. I mean, I can't imagine being stuck in a situation like that. And if you remove that name, Students for Justice in Palestine, to Students for White Justice, and this was a black student being subjected to this, then it would have made national headlines.
And he goes on to tell the story too that he ended up in what they called emergency housing. These roommates never apologized. And apparently the school never did anything about it.
No.
I mean, how are these other students allowed to treat another student like that? And he also makes the point, it was not like he's the leader of some, Jews at Kenyon College group. Not that that would be a bad thing, but it wasn't like he's an outspoken kid on the campus about it. But the fact that they knew he was Jewish, they were determined to intimidate him and make him feel scared in his own dorm room and on campus, and the college really did nothing to come alongside him and make a difference. And we just see that happening again and again, and every time it's allowed to happen, it encourages more behavior like that.
Yeah, I got about a minute and a half left here, but I do need to get your opinion on Elon Musk forming a third party. Legit?
Well, I mean, he's legit, and he's got a lot of money, so it makes the attempt, I guess you could say, legit. But we've seen this story before. I don't see how it's successful for Elon, and I certainly don't see how it's successful for America, because more than he's not 100% aligned with, say, the Republican Party, but he's certainly more in line with it than he is the Democrats. So any votes he's going to take away are likely going to be votes he would take away from Republican. And that could matter in 2026, the upcoming midterms.
Yeah.
It could certainly matter in the next presidential election. But you have to search really long and hard in American history to find a third party that was successful. You're far, far better off changing the party you already identify with, trying to make inroads and positive change there, than you are starting your own effort.
I think it's a great point for sure. Genevieve, thank you as always.
Thank you, guys. Have a good Wednesday.
Absolutely. We'll talk again soon. Heritage.org, dailysignal.com. All right, there's an effort to provide compensation for people who were exposed to radiation in St. Louis County and the greater St. Louis area. We'll talk about that coming up.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today. 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
1 in 4 people surveyed by Bankrate.com say they're literally losing sleep because of worries that they may have not saved enough to retire. If you're ready to get serious about planning for your financial future, you could start by listening to the All Financial Hour with host Steve All of the All Financial Group.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different. If you want assistance, we can also help you at that point.
Tune in to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, I tell you about Home Shield foundation repairs all the time. They deal with foundations. Your basement is a foundation, right? It's a foundation for your home. Your driveway's a foundation. It's poured concrete. If you have problems with your foundation in your basement, oftentimes that is dealing with water. And Home Shield Foundation Repairs, run by my friend Matt Hayes, small family-run company. He is a foundation specialist, so he'll come out. He'll take a look at a crack in the wall that may be seeping water or water coming up from under the bottom of the floor. He can fix that. He's got solutions, and he'll give you a lifetime warranty on his work. If you've got a driveway that's uneven, sidewalk, front porch pulling away from the house because it's starting to sink, all that happens when soil gets saturated and starts to move around. They can use their polyjacking material to fix that for you, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Get a hold of them today. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Good Wednesday morning to you. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. We're sitting at 70 degrees right now. Our time is 7:30. The St. Louis Public School Board has voted down a plan that would have relocated students who were in tornado-damaged areas to other schools. At least one board member was concerned specifically about violence if they mix kids from different neighborhoods and have them all at one school. The board president says now the school district and the teachers union will work together to try to come up with some sort of a solution ahead of this next fall semester. Well, remote work has ended for thousands of Missouri state employees. They were expected to go back to the office as of July 1st. That comes more than 4 years after former Governor Mike Parson allowed remote work during COVID. At this point, it's not clear how many employees could have left their jobs over that return to work mandate. In sports, the Cardinals beat the Nationals 4-2 last night. That was after a nearly 2.5-hour rain delay. Weather should be better for Game 2 tonight. That is coming up at Busch Stadium. First pitch is 6:45. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a stall reported northbound 55 at the ramp to Bayless. Watch for that on the right shoulder. And, of course, there's a little bit of volume through that area anyway in the narrowed part of the ongoing construction zone. Now, northbound 270, slow pockets anywhere from 55 up through Ladue Road. Southbound 270, some slow going at the 40. We've got eastbound 70, moderate volume at Mid-Rivers, and also just a little bit east of 270. And 64 looks pretty good eastbound. Westbound a little slow at Clayton Skinker. And let's see, other than that, there is some volume on the Illinois side. It's westbound 55-64 from the 70 split across the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by the Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, there's nothing like the confidence in knowing when it's going to be 95, 100 degrees outside, your air conditioner is going to keep you comfortable. And that's what Air Comfort Service does every day of the week. They're out there working hard for you. I am a member of their maintenance plan, and I think I'd highly recommend it. They come out twice a year. They check me in the fall. They check me in the summer, or in the spring, I should say, before summer gets here. They check the full system, the furnace and the air conditioner, every time they come out, and that way they can tell me that everything is running perfectly as it should be, and you have that peace of mind that you walk away with. It's $19 a month, and you know that it's going to be there. You get additional discounts if you do need service or repair or even new equipment. So you get your air conditioner ready for those hot days by calling Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. They'll get you taken care of. They put a new high-efficiency unit in for me last year. I guess it's coming up on a year now. It's got a heat pump in it. It keeps me warm in the winter and nice and cool through the summer months. So just give them a call, 314-513-0091, 314-513-0091, or online anytime at aircomfortservice.com.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The heat's really been extreme last week or so. I have a wife that's going through change of life, and she woke me up at 3 a.m. and said there's something wrong with the air conditioner. I checked the thermostat, and it's set at 66, and it is saying 66. Like we set it every single night. I said, okay, how do you feel? She goes, okay, well, as long as it's 66. And then within 2 minutes, all the covers are back on her, and she says she is freezing. I said, honey, the air conditioner isn't broke. Your thermostat is broke. So if you're living that way, my advice is this. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but here's what I do. I keep my laughter inside. It is real what they're feeling. You don't need to call me. You can say you called me, but you don't need to call me. Save your money. This is Bart Inman. One easy number in Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. God bless.
The man is on a roll. You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
We've been talking a lot about the big, beautiful bill and everything that was in it. And part of it, of course, is making sure people who were exposed to radioactive waste from processed uranium here in the St. Louis area, dating back to the Manhattan Project, might get some compensation for the untold number of deaths and illnesses caused over the years from that. And back when I was a reporter at Channel 4, I covered this story with a group that had gotten together, called themselves the Coldwater Creek Group, and they wanted to draw attention to these clusters of cancers that were breaking out along this creek in North County. And, of course, Kim Thone Visintine is with us this morning. She's one of the founders of that group, and I think your friend Janelle was with you at the time as well when I came out in 2011, Kim, and first talked to you about this. Congratulations on finally achieving some success here.
Thanks. It's surreal that we've actually, finally achieved our last goal 15 years later.
Yeah, to tell people who maybe aren't familiar with this RECA Act exactly what it's going to do.
Okay, so this is an existing program that's been around for quite a while. It's called the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, and it's put out by the Department of Justice. And what this is there are sites all across the United States that our government has actually harmed people with radioactive waste. There's other communities that have been on this for years, The Navajo Code Talkers are part of it. Bikini Atoll has been a part of it. Uranium workers out west have been a part of this. But Missouri has been left off of this bill for many, many years, despite the fact that we processed all of the uranium for the atomic bomb, and it was dropped into Coldwater Creek. So when we found out about this Compensation Act, Janelle and I began to pursue trying to be attached to it many years ago. And so what this bill will do is, if you have a very specific cancer that is related to radiation exposure, you have lived in an area in Missouri that is in one of the areas that has known contamination, whether that be near Weldon Springs or Coldwater Creek or Westlake, there are 20 zip codes. If you lived in an area for 2 years prior to your diagnosis, you have a cancer on the list, you will be eligible for $50,000 in compensation or payment of all of your medical bills.
Wow.
If you're still surviving. If your loved one has passed, you will be eligible for a one-time payout of $25,000.
I thought for some reason I was seeing that you would receive a base payment of $100,000 and then it would be additional reimbursements for any out-of-pocket medical expenses that might not be covered by insurance, which I imagine would potentially be a lot.
It used to be. It was different at one time, and there's different things for different groups. So there's downwind communities that were affected by atmospheric testing. They have a different payout than us.
Okay.
So we're what kind of a quote unquote downstream. We're the first community like ours that's downstream. There's some other areas that they want to add, like Tonawanda, New York. But beyond this, beyond the payment, we realize there's a lot of folks that won't be covered. Autoimmune diseases. There's so many other folks that got left off that, including my own son. A little bit of my backstory is the reason that, Janelle and I started this with several of our friends is we were all sick or our family members were sick. My own son, I grew up in North County, lived there for 27 years, obviously exposed to the creek growing up in it. I moved away and my son was born with a rare radiation-linked brain tumor at birth. There's only 50 cases in the U.S. of this brain tumor, and he was born with it. But when he was born, I was living on the hill, so not in a zip code that's affected. So I will not get compensation, but that's okay. That's not why I did this, right?
Right.
But beyond the compensation, just because we're a recognized community, this opens up federal grants for the entire region. So all of these areas that have been affected will now be able to go through the DHSS and apply for federal grants and funding for screening clinics, for health screening clinics, and for health education and awareness. So there's grants up to $300,000 that exist for these communities. And if you know anything, North County's changed a lot over the years. It's, the economics have changed. So these grants feeding back into this community is so important.
Sure.
And yesterday I spent a lot of time speaking with Wesley Bell and Shalonda Webb, and they were beyond excited about the opportunity for these grants for the people in North County to get some more help.
Right. Kim Thone Visintine is our guest, and she's been part of this, helped organize the Coldwater Creek group years ago. I remember, and you pointed this out to me yesterday, I was one of the first TV reporters to do a story on this when you guys formed. And you told me at the time your questions were, how can there be all of these different cancers in one area? All these, it's just strange. And you hit a lot of brick walls over the years. And Republicans and Democrat legislators, some tried to help you, others didn't. Why did it take so long, do you think, for St. Louis to get recognized when all of these other areas were already benefiting from this fund?
I don't know, Mark, and you're right. You were actually the first reporter that believed in us. And it was funny because we were just a group of kids I say this. We always joke, very Scooby-Doo, like if it wasn't for those meddling kids, right?
Yeah.
But we were just a bunch of kids from North County that grew up, and we started noticing we were all sick. And it was like, something's not right. And we tried to talk to folks about it, and they didn't believe us. And we were scattered all across the country. And so when nobody believed us, there were 6 of us at the time. We took it into our own hands, and we created these maps, these cancer maps, and this health survey. And we just started doing the legwork on our own. And some of our members, our original members, have passed away now from cancers that were sick. So they didn't get to see where we are now. They won't get to see this win. But I think a lot of people, it was right in front of them, hidden in plain sight. But it takes 20 years for these cancers to show up. So by the time people get sick, they've moved away from the area. So it really doesn't look like all these sick people in one spot in North County,
Kim, obviously you want to...
Oh, go ahead.
I was sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, obviously you want to celebrate this win, 20 years in the making, but what's next? Where do you go from here? Because obviously you're saying that some people with these autoimmune diseases are not necessarily included in this.
Well, we heard Senator Hawley talk yesterday about this, and he was very positive. And he's like, we'll continue to try to add these other areas, right? We talked to a lot of folks about, from the Coldwater Creek group, we'll continue to educate. But this is really going to become a local fight now, because it's going to have to go to a local level where people start to fill out these forms for the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. The money is there. So the money has been allocated from the big, beautiful bill, and it's $7 billion, by the way, over the next several years. It's been allocated for all of these people who have been exposed to radiation, right, across the country. And it's incredible.
And in case, Kim, before I run out of time, in case people are listening and they're interested in, they think they would be eligible to apply for that, what's the best way to do it?
So the Department of Justice has a website. It is called the Department of Justice Radiation Exposure Compensation Act.
Okay.
So you can Google it. They need to go there. The links are going to take about 2 months to get up and running. You do not need a lawyer. What you do need is proof of your disease, proof of your cancer that you had. There's a list of the cancers that's on our website, and then proof that you lived in the area. That can be, if you were a kid, that can be a school record, that can be an immunization record, that can be tax bills. But do your legwork over the next 2 months while we wait for the government to get this site up and running.
Yes.
And get those records together.
See, it's good advice. Kim, congratulations again. And on behalf of my wife grew up in North County. Her brother used to play in an offshoot of Coldwater Creek. Thank God he's still okay, to the best of our knowledge. But thanks for all your hard work on this.
Oh, and thank you. And thank you, Marc, for continuing to cover it. And thanks for believing in us.
You bet. Absolutely. Kim, thank you.
All right. You guys have a great day.
You too. Thank you very much. Kim Thone Visintine, who really helped start this fight, she and Janelle and another handful of people that grew up in that area. So good for them.
I feel so bad for all those people who, she said, passed away before they ever got to see
many of them.
This, like she said, it's a big step in the right direction, but there's more work to do.
It was when she showed me those numbers all those years ago, I'm like, this can't be right. And people would just deny when every agency they went to would do, well, you can't prove it. How can you prove it? How can you prove it? And they knew they were onto something. So I'm happy for them. What are we talking about in Kim on a Whim?
Well, if you go to church, there is a chance that your pastor may start talking about politics more from the pulpit, and that's because the IRS has come out and said, yes, churches can endorse political candidates and not have to risk losing their 501c3 status, which has kept a lot of pastors quiet. So will this change things?
We'll be back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a couple of accidents causing delays. One is westbound 64 out west, approaching 70, and it looks like at least the right lane is blocked. We've got a jam behind that. There is an accident MoDOT is reporting southbound 270, just south of Olive. Watch for that one in the left lane. But with those exceptions, we've looked okay this morning, and we do have some moderate volume out there. Some of that is on northbound 270, and it's in pockets anywhere from 55 through Manchester. Southbound, of course, with that accident south of Olive is jammed. Now, eastbound 64 looks like we've got moderate volume out west past that accident near the 70 split. Then it slows again at Big Bend. Westbound, some moderate volume Hampton through Hanley. 55 northbound jamming, especially near Bayless. And some volume westbound headed for and crossing the Poplar Street Bridge coming in from the Illinois side. This report is brought to you by Siding Express. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardie Siding. At Siding Express, they specialize in James Hardie siding installation. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation. sidingexpress.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Let's talk for just a minute about how great your backyard could be. And if it's not right now, then you just need to make one call to my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They will take care of you. And if you tell them that Marc Cox sent you, guess what? 48 months interest-free financing. You get your great backyard today, and then you take your time, if you qualify, in paying for it with no interest charges or any of that. I think it's great. They, of course, do fences because you hear it's in their name, right? Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They've been around since 1968, locally owned and operated. They do fantastic work. They take a lot of pride in what they do. So you can get a beautiful cedar fence. I've had one of those. They're gorgeous. You can get the vinyl, which is very low maintenance. They can do aluminum or steel, even chain link if that's what you're looking for. Deck, same thing. Cedar, vinyl decking is fantastic. That Vecca deck is just maintenance free pretty much, and that's great. Of course, there's the custom sunrooms and the pergolas and all that they do. They can help you out with the fire pit in your backyard. If you can imagine it, they'll help you with free project design. That's great. So go check them out. They're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. And remember, tell them Marc Cox sent you. Get that 48 months interest-free. Go to chesterfieldfence.com.
Summer in St. Louis means one thing: Cardinals baseball. It's more than a game. It's an STL tradition. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the boom of the fireworks. It's the soundtrack to summer for Cardinals Nation. So grab your cap and glove and take your spot in the stands. Because in St. Louis, baseball is more than a melody, it's our favorite song. Hey Cardinal fans, hydrate like a champ. Head to the ballpark Saturday, July 12th as the Cardinals take on the Braves. That day, 20,000 fans 16 and older score a City Connect tumbler courtesy of Coca-Cola and Quick Trip. Stay cool and sip in style all summer long with this 30-ounce stainless steel tumbler. Don't miss out on this fan-favorite giveaway. Grab your tickets today at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Nolan Gorman, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower costs than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Marc Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
Get your daily dose of common sense. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Kim on a whim.
I can't tell you how happy I am to see the news that came out yesterday about the IRS saying, yeah, you go ahead, churches, you can endorse political candidates. Because for so long, pastors have used the excuse of, well, I could lose my 501c3, my tax-exempt status, if I say anything remotely political. Well, what they've done is they've broadened that, and they've then decided that means they can't talk about things related to abortion. Like the pastors here in Missouri would sit there and say, well, I can't discuss Amendment 3 because that would be political. No, it's biblical. My church said, basically, we don't care if we lose our tax-exempt status because this is a matter of life and death, and that's how important this stuff is to us. In fact, not specifically related to Amendment 3, but my church in Maryland Heights, Grace, they had been investigated by the IRS and cleared very recently in the last number of months because they were mad. Some people were mad that they were discussing candidates for the school board races a couple years ago. Well, we had a couple people who were running from our church, so we were letting the congregation know, like, hey, we have a couple of our church members who are running.
Thank you.
And it's important to support people in those positions who also share our biblical values. So
why shouldn't you be able
win.
to do that? Why shouldn't you be able to do that? Particularly in that case, just that example, if you know, because we've seen this in our local school boards, that a lot of these candidates that are running are just godless progressives, and you know that you have somebody who's a member of your church who's running for that position, why could you not stand up to the masses and say you have an important choice to make on your school board? You can get people that are pro abortion and want your child to go get an abortion without your consent, or you can talk to our member of our congregation who's also running for that position, and you have a choice in the school board election. What's wrong with that? It's a reflection of your values.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. This decision, by the way, comes after a couple of churches, I believe out of Texas, had sued over this.
Yes.
And I think what's important to note here is they're saying bona fide communications internal to a house of worship between the house of worship and its congregation in connection with religious services do neither of these things. Like, they're not in violation of the Johnson Amendment, which would say you can't talk about anything political or you'll lose your 501c3 status. And they say any more than a family discussion concerning candidates. They're basically saying if these pastors want to talk about different issues, we look at it as if you're educating, you're talking about these important topics with your congregation as if you were sitting around with your family at the dinner table talking about it as well. And I wholeheartedly agree about that.
Well, what about crossing that line with all of those AME churches over the years, like Kamala did?
We're running out of time now. But she did the Souls to the Polls, and she went around those black churches
Reverend
in Georgia
Wright,
to get people out to vote for her.
Biden,
Nothing wrong with that.
No, Reverend Wright, Joe Biden, they've all done it. They've all gone. They go to predominantly black churches and they campaign every year. It's without fail. They do it when they're running for office, and none of that's ever apparently been seriously questioned. All right, coming up, we're going to get our friend Taylor Riggs on here from the Big Money Show. Love getting Taylor on. We'll talk more about the promised tariffs that take place in August and whether or not that's having an impact like it did last time on the market. Back in a minute.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
When you ride, you feel the freedom of the open road. But when the road turns dangerous and an accident happens, the pain and confusion can be overwhelming. If you're injured in a motorcycle accident, you need someone who understands. At Kaufman Townsley, we're your St. Louis neighbors. We live here, work here, and we know how important your recovery is. will fight for you so you can focus on healing. Kaufman Townsley. Real people, real results. Call 314-500-5000.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/radio. That's leaffilter.com/radio.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Deadly flash flooding in New Mexico. I'm Chris Foster. Fox News confirmed deaths from last Friday's flooding in Texas. They're up to 111 now, with 173 people reported missing. Now at least 3 people, a man and 2 children, are swept away and killed in Ruidoso, New Mexico. Mayor Lynn Crawford.
People have seen what's happened in central Texas, Bern County, Kerrville, places like that, just how powerful the water is. But it just snaps some of these big concrete heads off these manholes that goes to the sewer. It just snaps them off.
There's an area hit by wildfires last year, making the ground less able to absorb that water. President Trump says he'll be announcing several trade deals today. He met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu twice in 2 days at the White House, with no public announcement about any sort of breakthrough in ceasefire talks with Hamas in Gaza. Netanyahu on Fox Business this morning.
I think there's a good chance we'll have this ceasefire. And that'll get us closer to the goal that I set from the beginning. Let's get them all back without capitulation.
All back, meaning hostages and hostages' remains. Russia launches another major attack on Ukraine and is found again of being responsible for the downing of a jet over Ukraine in 2014.
Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 was shot down while flying from Amsterdam in the Netherlands to the Malaysian capital Kuala Lumpur. 298 people were killed. Now, the European Court of Human Rights has officially laid the blame on Moscow. The Boeing 777 was hit by a missile fired from part of eastern Ukraine controlled by pro-Russian separatists. The missile was also Russian-made. The court has ruled that the rebels were under the jurisdiction of the Russian Federation. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
There's a deal to end a city workers' strike in Philadelphia that's had residential trash pickup and some other services canceled for the last 8 days. America's listening to Fox News.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call Cordell & Cordell today, because your business is more than a job, it's your legacy.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis. CordellCordell.com.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit Pfizerforall.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by
Good morning. Hope your day's off to a great start. I'm Kim St. Ange for 97.1 FM Talk. If you're just waking up now at 8:03, heading out the door, 70 degrees our current temperature. Hey, did you hear a big win for Missourians exposed to radioactive waste? And that's because Congress, as part of the Big Beautiful Bill, has expanded eligibility and payouts to anyone impacted. We actually just spoke with one of the women who's been fighting for this for about 20 years. That interview was at 7:35. You can listen to it on our free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. More people are riding the Metro here in St. Louis. Bi-State Development, which operates the Metro, says ridership is up 15% this year compared to last at the 11 stations where turnstiles were installed. Those turnstiles are part of a $61 million security upgrade, which also includes a better camera system. Former Mizzou football coach Gary Pinkel has been arrested for drinking and driving again. He was arrested Monday just before midnight in Camden County, Missouri. You might remember back in 2011, Pinkel pleaded guilty to misdemeanor DWI and at that time was sentenced to 2 years probation. 8:04 is our time, 70 degrees at 97.1 FM Talk. All right, in sports, the Cardinals beat the Nationals 4-2 last night, the final, and that was after a nearly 2.5-hour rain delay. Now, thankfully, the weather should cooperate a little bit better for Game 2 coming up tonight. First pitch at Busch Stadium is 6:45. We are at 70 degrees now. 8:04 is our time. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Couple of accidents causing delays right now. One is southbound 270, just south of Olive. They've got the left lane blocked. I just posted that on X at Susan6768. You could also see the fog out there this morning. Look for heavy traffic back near Dorset. We had an overturned vehicle westbound 64 at 70 out west, and they had the one lane blocked, and then the other, it looks like the left lane is blocked now. And we've got a parking lot jam that goes back to Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 looks fine out west. It was just a little bit of volume that we had eastbound past the airport. There was an accident east of Lindbergh, but westbound looks fine. So if you are headed out that direction, just take 70. Now, we've got an accident reported on northbound 270 just past 44. Some volume there, and 55 slowing at Bayless in the construction zone. Some volume also that's westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Kind of a run-of-the-mill summertime weather pattern. We will see maybe a spot thunderstorm under partly sunny skies. Nothing like the action we saw late on Tuesday. 89 for the high today. Tonight, partly cloudy. It's a beautiful evening for summer in the 80s, 73. Thursday, partly sunny, maybe a spot storm, 90. Do that again Friday, though. Friday will bring it up to 93. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Time check right now coming up on 8:07 here this Wednesday morning. 70 degrees if you're just leaving the house. You can listen to the Marc Cox Morning Show or any other show on 97.1 FM Talk anytime or anywhere. Just download our free Odyssey app.
The Marc Cox Morning Show is brought to you by Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
Listen to both sides.
The bottom line is,
I respect that. We don't agree.
You're listening to the Marc Cox Morning Show.
Just to find a voice. Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
I don't know how to put this.
Marc Cox.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Well, it adds excitement, doesn't it, folks?
All right, glad you're back with us. A few minutes after 8 on your Wednesday morning, and it is the 9th day of July, if you can believe it. The rain, it looks like, even though it's cloudy out there this morning, we're largely out of that rain problem that we had yesterday. That is a good thing. That's good news, particularly for Sue Thomas, who's keeping an eye on your traffic out there this morning, and hopefully we will not have any big problems with that for the remainder of the day. We'll see about that for sure. Anyway, we got lots going on. Listen, if you missed our interview last hour with Kim Visintine, she's a member of that Coldwater Creek group. They just got the compensation fund approved in the big, beautiful bill for people in the St. Louis area affected by radiation. If your family lived in like 20 different zip codes that were affected by this near Coldwater Creek, near Weldon Spring, those areas, you might be eligible for compensation under this. And it's people have been fighting this battle for many, many years. And why it took so long to get here, I'm not quite sure. But go back and listen to our interview with Kim. She even explains how you can apply for that compensation. That was at about 7:35. So you can hit the rewind on the Odyssey app or go back and pick up the podcast. We podcast every segment for you here on the Marc Cox Morning Show. We make it as easy for you as we can. So anywhere you can go, 971talk.com, or wherever you normally get your podcasts, you'll be able to find it there. We appreciate that. In here along with Kim St. and Ethan Bright right now, and we still got lots to get to. We're trying to get you an update from Alexis McAdams. You know, that shooting attempt on President Trump was 1 year ago in Butler, Pennsylvania. She's been reporting on the ground up there for Fox this morning. We're trying to get you an update on that investigation. That's kind of what they're looking into this morning. And what in the world has taken so long? What do we know now that we didn't know then? It seems like there's so many questions that still haven't been answered about that kid getting on that roof and all that stuff.
Well, I just want to know now if the Secret Service has had additional training on how to go up on a sloped roof.
My guess is that's probably been integrated as part of their training.
Like a Saturday workshop. Yeah. We're all going to practice going up on the sloped roof. Billy, it's your turn.
My favorite meme after that was the video of that cow walking on that roof. If a cow can do it, there's a good chance you can do it as well.
Roofers do it all the time.
I know, much steeper roofs.
They're Secret Service. Come on.
Yeah.
You can do this.
That was a weak excuse. Thank goodness that lady's gone. The former director of the Secret Service, for sure. We've also got Taylor Riggs coming up for you here shortly because she's with Fox Business. We try to get her on, she or Charles Payne, every Wednesday morning to talk about what's going on in the markets. The president just confirming that he's done playing. He's secured a few big deals so far. I believe Vietnam and maybe India and China, a few other big deals on the tariffs. Still waiting on the EU to make it and a bunch of other countries. And he's finally just said, okay, here's the deal. August 1st, these tariffs are going back into effect. So this is your, 2.5 week warning, 3 week warning almost. And then that's going to happen. So if you've been sitting on the fence thinking I was bluffing, take a look at what happened in Iran. I warn you about what's going to happen, and then I do it. And if you don't believe me, just stick around. I won't use the FAFO reference because we're on broadcast radio. But that's pretty much what they hopefully have learned about Donald Trump at this point. So we'll get you an update on that. Right now, I want to get to our top stories, please.
The Marc Cox Short List.
Virtually everything he said was untrue. So the question is, does any of this trick the wire to perjury? They're very careful in how they word this. Comey is very careful to say that there wasn't basically malicious intent, not that there weren't mistakes.
Yeah, how about that? I think Jonathan Turley's onto something there, and they're going to get James Comey and maybe Brennan in front of the DOJ to ask them some hard questions about what they knew about the Steele dossier, and if they knew it was fake, why did they keep pushing it? Was it pure politics?
No, not for CNN. Not for CNN. Go ahead.
The president yesterday in his cabinet meeting just shut down Caitlin Collins from CNN. No, wasn't even taking that question. Move on.
Do you support Mamdani's candidacy as the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York?
Absolutely, I do. I support Democratic nominees.
Yeah, that's the kingmaker there. Remember him, James Clyburn, the reason Joe Biden got elected president? He's the guy. He's the reason. And now he's supporting a communist for mayor of New York City for no other reason than the fact that, guess what? He's the Democrat, and I'm supporting him no matter what.
It sounds more like they want to put down a rabid dog than that they have a political disagreement. And this is where extreme talk leads.
Yep, that's Chris Cuomo yesterday. I mean, he's no friend of Donald Trump. He's no friend of the right, for sure. He was on CNN for many years. I think he now operates News Nation. And he was talking about the debate. Is there really a debate over whether or not the rhetoric of the left is leading to violence in this country, violence against ICE? You had an ambush set up against ICE the other day. There's very little doubt that the left thrives on conflict and chaos. They do. If you listen to the likes of Claire McCaskill, it is Donald Trump that is causing all the chaos in this country. Go to cut number 1 there for us, Ethan.
So on every front, from alienating our friends to not getting peace in Ukraine, to not getting peace in Gaza and Israel. This is not a president who has brought calm to the world. He's just brought freaking chaos to the world.
I think Claire preferred it when we had a dunce in the White House, when we had somebody who stumbled around and went where Jill or the other handlers told him to go and answered questions with pre-filled out lines in front of him. They preferred that. They wanted somebody who could be manipulated. Donald Trump can't be manipulated by the left, by the lobbyists. He's not being manipulated by them. And he's very effective. That frightens people like Claire McCaskill because she needs the status quo to continue to exist. But she's making plenty of money now as a commentator there on MSDNC. Listen to the rest of how Cuomo described this. He's talking about people like AOC and Bernie Sanders and others.
They and others on the left fringe have ratcheted up the hatred for Trump and his administration and ICE and DOJ. And you know it. It's not just that they're bad policy, that they're bad moves, that they're bad appointments. It's that they're bad people, that they are immoral, that they are evil, that they deserve bad things to happen to them. It sounds more like they want to put down a rabid dog than that they have a political disagreement. And this is where extreme talk leads.
Yeah, he's right. It's personal. It's not about the individual policy or incident. It's about the fact that they hate Trump and they're going to jump on that bandwagon every single time they can, and it leads to violence. We've seen plenty of evidence of that for sure. All right, coming up, we'll see if we get Alexis McAdams with more on that Butler, Pennsylvania shooting of President Trump 1 year ago. And also Taylor Riggs still ahead from the Big Money Show. We've got more talk of tariffs. What's it going to do to the market? We'll be back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some accidents out there causing delays. The latest one happens to be westbound 64 downtown. This is before you get to Vandeventer, and this has created a jam that goes back near Jefferson. Now, there's also an accident, or was, on southbound 270. This one just south of Olive, and it started in the left lane. They still have the left lane blocked, but they also have the right shoulder blocked. And the other accident, the one causing serious delays, is on westbound 64 at the 70 split out west. They've had different lane blockages there, and there's still a lineup that goes back near Lake St. Louis Boulevard. If you are headed out west, just go ahead and take 70. And northbound 270, moderate volume in pockets, Gravois through 64. And other than that, we look fine. Even on the Poplar Street Bridge, things look good. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Insurance companies often have a basic strategy: delay, deny, defend. Some try to grind you down, but they have another tremendous weapon, a software called Colossus. They know which attorneys are great and which are not so great. They know who is likely to take the last offer and who will take them by their scalp, kicking and screaming to trial. They know that they have to pay some firms early and fairly. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. The insurance companies have done their homework. Before you hire a lawyer for your injury case, do yours. Visit forthepeople.com and see our settlements and verdicts for cases like yours. We became the largest injury firm in the world for a reason. When you hire the wrong firm, you may be beat before you start. All law firms are not the same. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Hey, you know what the average credit card balance is in America right now? $6,400. And do you know what the average interest rate is? 21.91%. Now, if you are in that situation, maybe you got one credit card, maybe you've got five that are $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. How do you ever pay that off? If you're just making the minimum payment on each one, that's hundreds of dollars a month going out the door just to try to maintain the status quo. Call Golden Oak Lending. Let them help. 314-567-GOLD. Listen, the mortgage counselor you talk to over there is going to be able to explain if they can help or not, and there's a very good chance they can. If you're a homeowner, you eliminate that debt, and you refinance to one of their low fixed-rate mortgages, you might save $1,100 a month. That's the average for people who do cash-out refinancing with Golden Oak Lending, $1,100 a month. Think about that. That means you're not that's money in your pocket. You're not paying it out. Even if the interest rate on your house goes up a point or two, you're not paying 21% interest to a credit card company. Maybe you're paying 4 or 5%. It depends on what you qualify for, but you need to call Golden Oak Lending and let them help you. That's what they're there for. 314-567-GOLD. It's their NMLS number is 114937. Tell them Marc Cox sent you. GoldenOakLending.com.
Celebrate National Carpet Cleaning Month with Zero Res and purchase 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and get 1 free, plus $50 off air duct services. Book online today at ZeroResSTL.com or call 314-474-2020 and take advantage of the summer savings.
Major League Baseball realized they needed new rules to help grow and speed up the game. Your retirement strategy may also need updating to keep up with potential tax law changes, Social Security, or whatever curveball Uncle Sam throws your way. Call Ricken Financial for an initial no-cost portfolio x-ray. 314-207-6211. That's 314-207-6211 or online at rickenfinancial.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor.
Hey, is your Generac home standby generator ready for the next outage? Are you overdue for annual maintenance? Schedule an inspection today with Generator Supercenter and ensure your Generac generator is ready when you need it most. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
Locked and loaded. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg, please.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
We've seen an explosion of anti-Semitism in this country, Charlie, right? Anti-Jewish acts of harassment, vandalism, and violence have skyrocketed. Last year was the worst year we've ever tracked at ADL. And yet somehow these teachers think the answer is to isolate Jewish students, to intimidate other Jewish educators, and to target the oldest organization in the country fighting anti-Semitism.
Yeah, can you believe that? We talked about this last hour with Genevieve Wood, but I wanted to play that. The guy is with the ADL. Let's see, what's his name? Jonathan Greenblatt is with the Anti-Defamation League. Started many years ago to call out anti-Semitism in this country, which is at record levels. I've never seen anything like it, even among people on the right. Right? Even among people who are traditionally supporters of Israel, you've got some real anti-Semites out there. You do. The people are down hard on Israel right now. You know, the interesting thing I think about that is that Benjamin Netanyahu was in the country this week. So Greenblatt, if you missed the story earlier, the NEA has decided to cut all ties with the Anti-Defamation League. They would rather not deal with somebody connected to Israel to help. They're not even worried about anti-Semitism. The ADL has always consulted with the NEA on teaching about the Holocaust. Well, we just had another Holocaust-type event on October 7th, a couple years ago. And Israel's still in the middle of fighting that with Hamas, but now suddenly they're on the enemy side. They've got to embrace the Hamas group, and because it's unfair what Israel is doing with them. Are you kidding me? Now, here's something I thought was interesting. This morning, Benjamin Netanyahu was on with Maria Bartiromo on Fox, and he made a very good point here about what people seem to expect from Israel, and he also made a good point that it's still his intention to get every hostage back that's alive. They've gotten 200 and some back. I think there are 20 or 30 more they know are still alive, and then there's some that they know are deceased. I think it's 20 are alive, 30 are deceased, something like that. They want to get every single one of them back. But the thought of leaving Hamas in place is not an option. Just like you've heard the phrase, failure is not an option. Leaving a terrorist organization with any power in Gaza, right next door to Israel, is no longer an option. And I love the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is a real prize for Israel. There are people over there that don't like him. He's there to protect Israel. That's his number one goal, is making Israel's priority to exist number one. And anybody that wants to undermine that does not have Israel's best interest in mind. Benjamin Netanyahu does. Listen.
The picture, too, because we're not going to keep these. You know, it's like keeping the Nazi SS. They're actually as bad, in some cases worse than the Nazis. They're not going to be there. So we get our hostages out. We're going to take out Hamas, and we're going to make sure that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel or to anyone else.
Good for you. I love the fact that he's just saying that up front. The status quo is not it's not acceptable. He believes that there's still a chance for a ceasefire. And you got to hope. I mean, hopefully, like Iran, they see that they don't have many options here, and you need to come to the table and try to talk peace with us while there's still a chance. Because what you have to do here is realize that Israel's not playing. Here he is again on the possibility of getting of Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize. Listen,
accords in which Israel made peace with 4 Arab states. We worked on this together,
the Abraham
secretly Accord, for 3 years, and wham! In 1 month, we made 4 peace treaties, which is by itself should have given him the Nobel Prize already. But he's not stopping. I mean, he made peace between Rwanda and the Congo. That was a bloody conflict, and he just made that peace. He helped make the peace now between India and Pakistan. That could have been, what can I tell you, a global confrontation. And he's working now on peace on other fronts. And we're working together on exploiting the victory to make a lot of peace treaties in the Middle East. So if anyone deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, it's President Trump. And it's high time that he was given the accord that he deserves and that peace deserves. This is a real peace, Nobel Peace Prize, a real one, not a fake one, and a great one.
Yeah. Remember they gave Barack Obama the Nobel Peace Prize like before he even got elected? Like he hadn't done anything, or he just got elected and they immediately gave him the Nobel Peace Prize?
Trump deserves it. He really does.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If anybody deserves it, he deserves it. But the libs over there won't even consider it. Like they don't want to put him on the cover of Time or anything. They can't stand it. Hate. Coming up, we're going to get to Taylor Riggs from the Big Money Show. We'll find out more about the threat of the tariffs in August and what they may be doing to the market.
While you start to think spring, that might mean a move is in your future. But the question is, when is the right time to buy? Well, I go to my friend Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage to ask that question. Stewie, how do buyers beat the competition when they're looking to buy a new home?
All right, Annie, we're going to give you 3 big bullets. Number 1, get the bagel loan. No closing costs. If you don't have to pay those closing costs, add it to the bid. You'll beat all the other offers. Number 2, tell the seller you're going to close in 10 days. 10 days, most lenders take 30 days just to get the loan approved. He's going to take your offer over everybody else's right away. Number 3, we give you the power of the pre-approval in your hands. You can access our portal anytime you want and generate your own pre-approval letter. Don't wait for the lender. You can make it happen yourself.
Well, the smart move starts by calling or texting my friend Stewie at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. He just gave you those 3 tips to smart buying to beat the competition. Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
All that rain yesterday had water puddling in my yard, and here's what happens. If you have a leaky basement, you know the soil gets saturated, and that creates pressure in the soil. And if you've got cracks in your walls, that water is going to find a way through there for sure. It's frustrating if you're a homeowner, but you got to get it fixed because you keep stuff stored in your basement. You don't want mold. You don't want any of the other problems that go on with that. Call Home Shield Foundation Repairs. The owner is a guy named Matt Hayes. He's local. This is a family-owned company. You're dealing directly with the owner, not a top salesperson, the guy who's going to be out there overseeing the work to make sure it's done right. And when it's done, he's going to hand you a lifetime warranty on all of his craftsmanship. So you have a leaky basement or whatever structural problems, go to Home Shield Foundation Repairs. Great videos on their website. Tell them Mark sent you. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
I'm Nicole Murray with Your Money Now. President Trump said he will impose a 50% tariff on copper imports and suggested more steep sector-specific duties are on the way. Trump added he would announce soon tariffs at a very, very high rate, like 200% on pharmaceutical imports. Ad group WPP has slashed its annual profit guidance after clients cut spending in June, raising concerns about the group's ability to deal with the technological change driven by AI. The downgrade from the world's second-largest advertising group sent its shares down 15%. Malaysia's trade minister says the country has no plans to retaliate against a 25% tariff levied on its exports to the United States by Washington, saying he was still optimistic about reaching a trade deal. Speaking in an interview with Reuters, the minister added Malaysia still had a few more weeks to negotiate the final terms of an agreement. Futures are slightly higher. Tuesday, the Dow Industrials lost 165. That's Your Money Now.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could it be lower testosterone?
Lower T.
Happens to most guys after 40.
I was in the same boat until I started using Nugenix Total T2.
Total T2, the new one I've seen on TV. Yep, it's the next generation testosterone booster for both free and total testosterone. It's packed with even more man-boosting power, sending nitric oxide levels skyrocketing in just 3 hours.
It actually works?
I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I've got more energy, better results in the gym, and things are even better in the bedroom. Send them a text and get a complimentary bottle.
Text now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the #1 testosterone brand at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free. Text BOSS to 321321. That's BOSS to 321321. BOSS to 321321.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is a stall westbound 6440 past Forest Park Avenue, and they've got the left lanes blocked. It was a stall in the center lane, and right now only the right lane is getting by. So, of course, there is a delay in that area. The other incident we had was an accident on southbound 270 south of Olive. Started in the left lane, then they had the right shoulder blocked. Well, that's been cleared, but the jam behind it has not. So we still have some volume through there. There was also an overturned vehicle on westbound 64 out at the 70 split. That's been cleared. Traffic looks much better through there. If you are northbound on 270, there was an accident north of 44. That caused a delay back through Gravois, and that's still the case. And if you're headed in from Illinois, we look fine on the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
It's funny to think back to just a few months ago when it was probably a little bit too chilly some nights to actually be able to enjoy your backyard. But now there's many days where it's so hot and muggy. And then, of course, you have the rain we've had, like we had yesterday. And so you just never know with the weather here in the St. Louis area. How nice would it be if you had one of those motorized pergolas where you can put a fan up top there, you could have a TV going, so you can open and close the top, and it will protect you from the rain. So no matter the weather, you can enjoy your backyard. That's the dream, right? If you make an investment, you want to be able to actually enjoy it. And that's where my friends over there at Lakeside Renovation and Design come into play, because anything you've been dreaming up for your house, whether it's inside or outside, they're going to help you make that dream a reality. One of their in-house experts, by the way, the entire team is in-house over there at Lakeside. They're going to work with you from start to finish on a project to make sure it's done right. I mentioned indoor and outdoor. So again, all-season room or pergola, or maybe you've been wanting to redo your kitchen or your bathroom, have a finished basement. I know plenty of people have noticed their windows jamming on these nicer days when they try to go open them. They'll install these beautiful Infinity from Marvin windows. They're top notch. They're 8 times stronger than the vinyl windows that are probably on your home right now. And those are the type of materials that Lakeside Renovation and Design works with. They want to make sure they have the best quality materials so that they last. So you're not putting this stuff on your home and then just a couple years later you're having to redo it. We don't want to deal with that, right? Plus, Lakeside's going to back up their work with a lifetime workmanship warranty. I'm telling you, this is a great company, family owned. They're the kind of company that you can trust to do quality work on your home. Call Lakeside today, 636-978-5000. They're online at lakesiderd.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel, Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member, NYSE and SIPC.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Well, few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation today. 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters. BannerConstruction.com.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
The Cards, the Nationals.
Siteman Cancer Center game time 6:45. Play ball. Siteman Cancer Center, national leader in cancer.
The home of the Cardinals. 1041 FM KMOX.
A man, a myth, America. The Marc Cox Morning Show. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
But, Chair, would the Fed have cut more by now if it weren't for the tariffs?
So I think that's right. In effect, we went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs and essentially all inflation forecasts for the United States went up materially as a consequence of the tariffs. So we didn't overreact. In fact, we didn't react at all. We're simply taking some time. As long as the U.S. economy is in solid shape, we think the prudent thing to do is to wait and learn more and see.
Wow. Has one man ever been more wrong at one time? That's Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. We've got our friend Taylor Riggs on here with us from the Big Money Show this morning. Taylor, I've found that bite. It's about a week old, and since then, more good job numbers have come out and making Jerome Powell look, in my opinion, even worse than he did before.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We spoke last Wednesday, and we have some pretty negative ADP numbers. Those are private job numbers. And I cautioned that there isn't a big correlation between those numbers and the jobs report, which then we got the next day. And you are right. The jobs report was much better than expected. It was 147,000. Most analysts were looking for like maybe 100,000. So, again, this is an economy that continues to be very resilient, even in the face of all the headwinds that we keep hearing about from the big PhDs and all the economists out there who are looking at their models. Frankly, consumers are still chugging along. So, look, the Fed is going to continue to blame more uncertainty around tariffs. Jay Powell has said we're going to wait until the fall, maybe because tariffs may show up in June, July, or August, even though I've been hearing since January that they're going to show up any day now. So we're going to sort of probably be on standby. But you know what? This is an economy that certainly is slowing, but not falling off the cliff at all. Consumers are really, and businesses, I have to say, navigating this very, very well. And yes, the stock market's back at record highs.
Oh, yeah.
Assuming there is a cut later on this year, do we have any way of anticipating what kind of a cut that would be? Because they haven't had one since last year. Like, would they try to make up for some of this time, or what do you think?
You know, I keep hearing the slow and steady wins the race. You know, so it would be about that normal average cut that you typically get, that 25 basis points. But remember, a lot of people remember 2 weeks before the election when they did the jumbo half point, not the quarter point. But most people I speak to say you could get a couple quarters point cuts at the end of the year. So look, this is a Fed that can control the short end of the curve. But we're really targeting, as Scott Besson has said, further out on the curve, right? What's the 10-year doing? What's mortgage rates doing on the 30-year? The Fed doesn't control that as much. So this is going to be a market that kind of has to figure out how, where do we want the 10-year to be? Where do we want the 30-year to be? Because that's really what impacts the cost of living for many Americans.
Yeah, very true. We're talking to Taylor Riggs from the Big Money Show on Fox Business. I have a question for you. I need an answer from somebody who's actually got a finance degree, and I know you do. Somebody told me this the other day, and I swear I don't know how I missed this, but I missed it, that we still value the gold at Fort Knox at $43 an ounce. Taylor, how is that a thing?
I know. Okay, so you're throwing me a curveball. I will ask Larry Kudlow this question because Larry Kudlow, as you know, he's going to be on my program at 1 p.m. today.
Okay.
He served during Trump 1.0. People I was at him with a luncheon a few weeks ago asked if he's going to be the next Fed chair. He says, no, I'm gainfully employed. Someone else is going to be the Fed chair. Larry Kudlow knows the answer to this. The short answer is, that is true. And I don't know. You had, I think, the Department of Defense, maybe Secretary Pete Hegseth go there. check it out. Look, that's very complicated. Larry absolutely probably would say, I don't want to speak for him, go back to the gold standard.
Yeah.
Maybe value that more appropriately. What are we at, like 32-ish, 3,600 an ounce for gold, not $40?
Yes.
But that is a very complicated story. I will say what's interesting, you have central banks around the world buying gold. That's why the price is up so much. They're actually trying to diversify away from the dollar. So central banks and foreign institutions all across the globe have been massively buying gold. I think it's something to watch. Gold is typically an indicator of higher inflation on the horizon. It's been a hedge. So when gold goes up, you think, oh my gosh, we're hoarding gold because inflation's going up. But we haven't yet seen that. So some of it is just demand from central banks trying to get rid of the dollar and hold gold instead. Why don't I do my research and I get back to you next week?
That's fine. When I heard this, I'm thinking to myself, what impact would that have on our financial footing, on our bond rating, on everything, if that was valued at $2,900 an ounce instead of $43? Because suddenly we've got almost $1 trillion sitting in Fort Knox, and that puts us on better financial footing.
It does. Absolutely. And this is why I think people, and I'm included, some of this stuff goes over our head. This is why we get so frustrated with the spending in Washington, the trillions here, the trillions there. And unfortunately, I'm in New York City, and that's why some of people around me are voting for a socialist or a communist mayor. Because they don't understand. They just think money's free. Oh, we're just not valuing it appropriately, or this, or we'll print more money, or we'll just spend other people's money. And, so that it's frustrating because I think it makes it harder for people to really understand the fiscal situation that we're really in.
So you're having Kudlow on in your 1 p.m. Eastern time hour, so at noon Central time?
Yes, exactly. And I will ask him all of your questions.
And I will be watching for that answer because I'm fascinated to know what Larry Kudlow thinks about that.
He's a very special individual.
Taylor, thank you so much for your time.
It was a pleasure. Happy to be here.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Taylor Riggs there. She's so sweet. And I didn't mean to throw her a curveball, but I figured somebody much smarter than me should be able to figure out what the answer is to that question.
Well, now it sounds like you will get an answer.
I hope so, from Larry Kudlow
today. Yeah,
from maybe the next Fed chairman.
We can play that tomorrow.
Yeah, no kidding. We will track that down for you and get you that answer from Larry Kudlow. To just the impact of it. That gold reserve would be worth billions. It would be worth hundreds of billions of dollars instead of what it's worth right now. If it was properly valued. Why wouldn't we want that? But for some reason we don't. And I fail to understand it. But we'll get you that answer, and we'll talk more about that when we come back. Also, one thing I didn't get to yesterday, and Kim just pointed out to me, was that interview Tucker Carlson did with the president of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy claims there was an attempt on his life, right?
He says that Israel had made an assassination attempt against him.
I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth, but we'll play part of that for you when we come back. Stay tuned.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident reported eastbound 6440 just past Clarkson. And the camera's turned the wrong way. I can't see what lane is blocked, but I do see the delay behind it. Traffic slowing again at 170. We've got some volume northbound 270 headed for Doherty Ferry, and again, some moderate volume headed for Ladue Road. Southbound 270, slow pockets from Page down through Ladue Road, and southbound 170 a little slow at 64 this morning. If you are headed in from Illinois, there's some volume. Now, it's especially crossing the Poplar Street Bridge just for the length of the bridge. And past there, it's not quite so bad, or behind it, it's not quite so bad either. And other than that, we pretty much look good at this hour. This report is brought to you by the Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Have you thought about how to handle your money in retirement? You've saved, and that's great. We all have. And then suddenly retirement is getting closer and closer, and you think, wait a minute, do I know how to make this money go all the way through my retirement? You may need some help. And one of the ways to do this is to understand how things work. And this is why I like the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects. They're just the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. But what they do is put on a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. And at this, they teach people, here's how to avoid costly mistakes. Here's how you maximize your income. Here's what you're going to face. And I just think it's a great idea to get educated. So call and register 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101, and kind of get a handle on what you're facing.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at Zero Res, and July is actually National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, Zero Res is offering a purchase of 3 rooms of carpet cleaned and get 1 free, plus $50 off air duct surfaces. Here in St. Louis, you got stains from toasted Rav, dog hair thicker than a summer party at Soulard, and a mystery spot that might be beer, might be barbecue. Let's face it, might be both. It's time to call the pros at Zero Res. They clean without soap, harsh chemicals, or that weird musty smell your Aunt Linda's house always has. They use their powerful, fancy ZR water, so your floors dry fast, feel soft, and smell like victory, like beating Chicago maybe. Vacuuming is simply not sufficient to maintain the cleanliness and the lifespan of your carpet, and Zero Res can handle it all. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, air ducts, basically every surface in your home. Take advantage of this offer. Buy 3 rooms of carpet clean, you get 1 free, plus $50 off air duct services. Call today at 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Tell me what the 97.1 FM Talk special. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Just dial pound 250 on your phone and say the keyword Windows. That's pound 250 keyword Windows, or head to rbastl.com. Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Annie Fry Show.
Steve Moore, welcome back to the show. How excited are you to know that those Trump tax cuts were made permanent?
It had so many policy triumphs and victories, things that we've worked for 30 years.
The Annie Fry Show, weekdays from noon to 3. Helping St. Louis wake up. The Marc Cox Morning Show.
There are some large number of Iranian nationals living in the United States. Some have said they are, quote, sleeper cells. They are terrorists who are acting at the command of your government. Would you right now make a statement to Iranian citizens living in the United States not to commit acts of violence in the United States?
You see, these things you're telling me, this is the first time I'm hearing them from you or from anybody. The Iranians are known for their knowledge, for their science, for their courtesy, for being civilized. Have you seen otherwise from them? Any other kind of behavior from them?
Yeah, Tucker Carlson, part of his interview with the president of Iran. I'm not quite sure why he didn't have the Ayatollah Khomeini on there, but that was Masoud Pezeshkian. Am I pronouncing that right?
Sure.
Pezeshkian?
Yeah.
Who's the president. Sounds good to me.
It works for me.
Yeah. I don't know why we should believe anything that comes out of this guy's mouth. He also claimed in a separate bite that they have never tried to build a nuclear bomb, even though they had 60% enriched uranium just a few degrees away from what you would need to make a nuclear bomb, and we know that for sure. It's not a WMD question. We know that for sure. And they would love nothing else than to turn Israel into a piece of glass.
He's trying to say that he's open to peace talks with the United States, and it's just all about having a dialogue with Trump. And he also tried to say that the videos that many of us have seen on social media of Iranians, chanting "death to America," he says, "Shh, don't you worry. They don't mean death to Americans. They don't mean death to the country America. They just mean death to violence and death to." He's just rambling and rattling off random things that he says it actually means.
Did you hear any criticism of Tucker for doing that interview?
Oh, 100%. People were saying it was tone deaf because
who?
No, I mean, I saw conservatives were saying that too. I saw it from both sides,
Did
but
you see
people
it?
were really dumb.
Because remember when he interviewed the Russian president,
Vladimir Putin? Yeah.
Was that during the campaign? Maybe when he did that last year.
Yeah, I remember that
when
interview.
Biden was still president, I think, and he was criticized for being a mouthpiece for Putin.
Here's the thing. I don't blame him as a journalist trying to go get this interview because he knows it's big. He knows it's going to get headlines. There's interest. I'm interested. I watched most of it yesterday, and it's like a 30-minute interview. He also talked when he was explaining why he went about getting this interview. He said, look, I think it's up to the American people to be able to decide whether or not they want to believe the Iranian president. I'm not here to make that decision for you. I'm here to ask the questions. I get that. But then he also went on to say, but I did not ask the question, did the bombing that the United States do of your nuclear facilities, did that completely destroy them? Because he said he knew he wouldn't answer truthfully anyway. Why not at least ask the question? Because all the other questions that you asked about, like, do you really want death to America? He's not going to answer that truthfully.
And his answer to that was basically, no, we didn't mean that.
Which is a lie. I mean, so why not ask that question too and let Americans then decide whether or not we believe him? There was a little bit of weirdness and all that. But again, I understand the frustration from people about why he did this, but I can't necessarily blame him for going after the interview. What do you think?
I guess I don't blame him. I think he did it for the headline aspect of it. But he was also hypercritical of us bombing Iran.
Well, yeah, he's kind of anti-Israel
I
now.
know. And that's the thing about it that, if anything, that bothered me a little bit about it. But back to what the guy, you can't believe a word that comes out of, not Tucker, the for sure, but the Iranian president. Mm-hmm. Now, like if somebody pulls a prank on me and I say, I'm going to kill you, right? I don't literally mean I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you for that. I'm not going to really kill you. It's just a phrase. But when you chant "death to America" with thousands of people in the square in Iran somewhere, and "death to Israel," they mean what they're saying. They're not just playing around.
Did he say that Iranians are not known for their violence?
He did say that.
I'm sorry. You're the number one terrorist state. I think you are.
Tucker asked
him. What a
joke. A lot of people are concerned that you had a lot of folks, a large number of Iranians coming in here to commit violence. And the guy said, I don't know anything about that.
First time I've heard
We're
of
a
that.
Peaceful people.
Yeah, we sing Kumbaya and we hold hands. Yeah. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Good luck to you on that. By the way, tune in tomorrow. We'll have that answer on the gold and why it's valued so low. We're gonna get it straight from Larry Kudlow because Taylor has promised to ask him that on the Big Money Show today, and I'm gonna have that bite for you right here tomorrow morning. Stay tuned. We'll get the Kilmeade Show in here next. I think Brian's back today. I can't swear to that. I believe he'll be on. Then, of course, Annie and Marc this afternoon, Cam and Ethan, and then Sue and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 5. Have a great day.
The Marc Cox Morning Show
On 97.1 FM Talk.